What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans episode 94 for your Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by the one and only, and if we're speaking in Hulk Hogan language, Monster Solo. What's going on, brother?
Is that what my file reads when you pull it out of the filing cabinet? Monster Solo?
Yes, Monster Solo, yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes. I'm sure you had a nice laugh over the Hulkster's, I guess. I don't know what happened with him. Maybe it's too much real American beer. Maybe he's just completely getting delusional in his old age, man. Benjamin Shelton, bro, where does he wrestle?
I don't know. I've never heard of the guy before, but it sounds like he's got some pretty impressive credentials. He impressed the Hulkster.
Well, I mean,
I don't think Benjamin Shelton was very impressed by Hogan's comments, though.
No. As you see the numbers that Shelton Benjamin did on his rebuttal there for the Hulkster, almost 1 million views and like 40,000 likes. I mean, man, I didn't realize Hulk Hogan was that hated, bro. It's crazy to see how everybody just doesn't want to hear anything about the Hulkster anymore.
Did you see what MVP said?
I did.
It was a very simple, very succinct line when he responded on the Twitter machine. And he said, I believe his exact words were he referred to Hogan as a pathological lying piece of human excrement.
Yes. Well,
yes.
I am willing to bet that neither MVP or Benjamin Shelton will not be wrestling and showing up for American Freestyle Wrestling or whatever he's going to go and call it.
No, he will not. He will not be coaching.
No, he will not be coaching at all.
No.
Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. We will definitely talk about the Hulkster. Him and Eric Bischoff have another new venture together, and we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about the comments made today by Hulk Hogan in regards to Shelton Benjamin, and we will definitely get into all of your pro wrestling news, man. It's been a busy week. We got releases we're going to go over for the first time, both of us together. I know this was a big week as far as the releases, Black Friday, post-WrestleMania cuts. It's more of the same. We'll definitely go over that. There have been a couple of other names in the news regarding the releases. We'll definitely get into Shotzi and Riley Osborne. And Tegan Knox was very outspoken about the way things went down last week, so we'll definitely get into all that. We'll preview Backlash. I'm actually more excited for Backlash than I once was 3 weeks ago. So we'll definitely get into that. Should be a decent show on Saturday night. We'll definitely get into all that stuff. Raw, Dynamite, we got a couple of AEW news and notes. So it's going to be a very, very colorful show here on episode 94. And we thank you guys for joining us here on Tuesday night. It is the Solomonster's 1-year anniversary. It was this time last year, this week, where he finally came on board after waiting 3 weeks of guest hosts to fill out their role here on the show. And he had to keep the mouth shut on his announcement being on the show here. But before we get started, I just want to say I thank you guys for making this show what it is. The numbers and the retention and the excitement that you guys show every single week, it truly means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Jason as well. We sit here and we don't really have a time limit on what we do, though we do go longer than we really want to on most weeks. But at the end of the day, it's always the same feeling. Damn, that was a good show. And we know that everybody enjoyed it. So, with what was an idea between me and Andrew Baydala, this is something that we wanted to do for a couple of years. And then it finally came into fruition. I had Deviate Designs to do this unbelievable intro. It was definitely the idea of an ESPN-style first take show or a roundtable discussion-like show. And it was supposed to be just talking pro wrestling in a very educational and fun way, debate, the good, the bad, and the ugly on pro wrestling. And Drew left the show after 40-plus episodes. And it was for personal reasons. His son's family, he didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to the show anymore. A lot of people made it something out that it really wasn't. And it wasn't, honestly. I'd be the first to tell you. He left, and he very much watches us every week. He still supports what we do. And without Drew, the show wouldn't even be where it is today. So I thank him and everything that he's done for the show. And I still talk to him weekly. He's still very good friends with me. And I brought upon Jason to sit in the seat as the co-host, and before the announcement was made, I'm like, I want Jason on the show. I've worked with him at House of Glory for almost 8 years. I respect his work tremendously. I know him. He's been over the house. We've made drinks. We've been out to dinner. He's been out to the 40th birthday party. I mean, celebration of 100,000 subs. Jason has been not only an influence to me and what I do, but he's also been a very good friend. And I don't really have a lot of friends in the community. I'm very much introverted. So the fact that he said, yeah, let's do it, and me being afraid to even ask him when I wanted to have him on the show, it meant the world to me. So from me to you, brother, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sitting in for what has been a full calendar year. I appreciate everything you've done for me. And most importantly, I appreciate your friendship. So thank you for making this show exactly what I intended it to be. It's just two dudes talking pro wrestling and having a damn good time, man. So thank you.
Well, that's very kind of you. And I reciprocate. I feel the same way. But I remember, when we were talking about this coming up, I was like, man, has it been a year already? That doesn't feel like a year. But that's what happens, when you're having fun, time flies. And I remember when this all came about last year, and for me, it was more just a question of, because, and this feeling too, there's so much work that goes into producing content every week. And whether it's Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, you try to cling to whatever little bit of free time you feel you have. And it was like, do I want to, do another show? And I thought about it. I said, you know what? This is going to be fun. So, of course, let's do it. Why not? What's the worst that happens, right? We crash out. It doesn't work out. But here we are a year later, and I think we would agree that we've had a lot of fun, a lot of good times doing this show. Your audience, and there's a lot of overlap between the two audiences, but there are a lot of people that were not aware of my content or did not listen to my content, who would become fans of mine. And I would like to think it goes both ways. And so a lot of the people that join us every week here in the chat, they have been a part of many of my streams and have become part of our community over there as well. And so I love each and every one of you, even people like Psycho Sidro over here. These crazy SOBs here have become part of my community as well. And it's been a great feeling. It's been a lot of fun. And what you and Andrew started was something special. So my goal was just to kind of pick up where you guys left off and hopefully just be able to continue that into the future. I would like to think that we've done that. And hopefully you guys are happy with what you see and hear every single week, because we ain't going nowhere. And we got many more shows to go. So I will salute you. I have here, first of all, I got my tipple glass. If you didn't notice.
Did you pre-order the John Cena one?
I didn't know they had a John Cena one
this weekend. Yeah, I think it's still on the website if you want to go look after the show.
Okay, well,
yeah.
So this one has different stickers all over it from older wrestlers, Savage, Undertaker, the old block letter logo.
Yeah.
But in here is Seagram's was very kind to send me, and I think they may have done with you as well, their little care package with their WWE drinks that they just came out with. So what I have here tonight, this is the Pineapple Powerhouse. And let me tell you, these are 10% alcohol by volume. So when I had the first one the other night on my stream, I didn't realize how strong this would be. I'm like, oh, it's like a fruity drink. I'll just drink most of it. And it was a very interesting stream because I didn't realize how strong it would be, but it was actually very good. So tonight I have chosen to go the pineapple route in celebration here of 1 year. So here we go. This is to you, brother.
Thank you. And I'm drinking coffee flavored or coffee infused Jack Daniels, Gentleman Jack Daniels. So Jason was over the house for my birthday, and we had a mixologist come over, and we made old fashions with coffee infused old fashioned. So I'm drinking some of that leftover stuff. But thank you guys very much for all that. Excellent. Those Seagram's drinks, bro. The Pineapple Powerhouse was my favorite. I taste tested all of them at the same time, and I kind of did a process of elimination. The pineapple was my first. The fruit punch was my second. The blueberry was last. I didn't like the blueberry at all. I thought it tasted like cough medicine. But, man, the sugar content in those drinks, I could not drink a whole one, bro.
Yeah, well, that also hits you. But, just to give, because they give you a little placard here that comes with it, just explaining what each one is. So the Rumble Punch is the one that I had the other night. I haven't done the blueberry yet. So now that you've warned me about that, I mean, I'll try it, but I don't know if I'm going to like it. But this one, that I have here tonight, it says it's a combination of pineapple, cherry, and lime. But 10%, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's pretty up there. That's pretty up there. Normally when I drink my craft beer and it's reaching 10, 11%, it's like 2 max, but it doesn't come in those types of cans. Those are pretty big fucking cans.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you know what? It comes in a can. It's about the same size as one of those Steve Austin IPAs.
Yes. So thank you to Seagrams. They did send me and Jason, as well as a bunch of other content creators in the community, a little care package of Seagrams WWE inspired drinks. So that's what he's drinking. I'm drinking some whiskey, and we're going to get into the news. So I thank you guys very much for joining us. Social media and YouTube and all that stuff. If you guys want to go subscribe to Jason, everything you need is linked down below in the description. So make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. And without any further ado, I will leave it up to this guy as always. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about, man?
Well, I mean, I think because there's probably a lot to get into here, we should probably get into the releases since they came late last week.
All right.
Before we get into the stuff coming up this weekend, which we have, plenty to talk about there. We've had these Black Fridays come and go before. It feels like almost every year around this time, and they save it for the end of the week. I mean, it's no different. Honestly, I used to work in PR, so when you had bad news to share, you would typically wait for the Friday news dump, and you would just put it off until the weekend and hope it doesn't really get a lot of attention, which is why they do it the way they do it. But we had the post-WrestleMania cuts in WWE, and I was getting ready to go watch SmackDown as all of this was breaking. So I went from putting a SmackDown preview together, all of a sudden it became kind of a breaking news show on all of these releases, and they kept coming. Yeah, I think on Friday night it was up to maybe 13 or 14. By the time the weekend was over, it was 17 talents, 19 people in total, because there was somebody on the creative end that was let go from the company, and somebody else who used to be a co-host on The Bump, Ryan Popola, who was also released. So a lot of people who work for the company no longer do. I don't know if you want to go in any particular order here. I will tell you the one that, if I had to pick one name that surprised me the most, it was literally the biggest name on the list, which was Braun Strowman.
Yeah, he's the one that surprised me too. I did not really expect him to be on this list, but I said that same thing, and I also said this. I'm not surprised by any of the names that were on the list with him. And most of this list, I'm not surprised, were let go. So Braun Strowman was definitely the biggest surprise to both of us, and I have a little piece on each one of these names. But these are the names that were announced on Friday. Like Jason said, there were a couple of corporate names let go, and then obviously Shotzi was in the news. Danny Palmer, who was a part of Evolve, she was let go as well. Braun Strowman, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, which we'll definitely get into that. I know that really caused an uproar on social media with both of them. Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, which was one of the bigger names that melted social media down into a frenzy. Gigi Dolin, Eddie Thorpe, Cora Jade was another one. I would say I'm kind of surprised about Cora Jade too, but at the same time, I'm not. We'll definitely get into that. Jakara Jackson, Riley Osborne, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Wolfgang, and Oro Mensa. And then, like I said, Shotzi was in the news, but she wasn't outright released. WWE is just simply not renewing her contract. She's letting, or they are letting her just go and hit free agency. So she'll be wherever she wants to in 30 days.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened with Sonya Deville. They let her contract expire. I think Shotzi posted a tweet saying that her deal was up not until July, and then she quickly deleted it. So she still has a little bit of time left, but yeah, they're going to not renew her deal when it's up in a couple of months.
Yeah, again, I'm not surprised by her being in that position. Tegan Knox blasted WWE over the talent releases. She said, "Imagine releasing talent like this. Place is fucking insane." She reiterated on Instagram, "Imagine releasing talent. This place is fucked." Basically, is what she said. She was released in November 2021, and again, high hopes for her, but injury prone, which is going to be the talk of a lot of these releases, Jason. We'll start with Braun Strowman, previously released in 2021 by WWE, returned in September of 2022. Torn groin sustained in September 2023. He missed several months. He returned in December, and throughout the year, he's been feuding with Jacob Fatu. That ended with a last man standing match, and then the same thing with Bronson Reed, last monster standing match, which that little mini feud while Rollins was out, and they needed Bronson Reed to do something while Rollins was out. Was tremendous stuff on Monday Night Raw. And to see him released, you know, again, probably monetarily, not surprised, but the body of work that he did this time around compared to the first time, I thought he did a very admirable job, and I thought Triple H used him to the best of his abilities. But there was one thing that really stood out to me, and I know probably the same for you. His knees were fucking shot, bro. I mean, the speed on his fastball was like fucking Greg Maddux like. It was like 88 miles an hour, and he was like legitimately a freight train. They want to talk about the Strowman Express. Man, he lost a lot of speed, a lot of momentum. I don't know what really went into the release outside the money part, but I thought he did a great job. And like you said, I was very surprised to see him go. I thought the work he did with Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu, if you want to really look at the ascent of both guys when they do get to where they are, I think a lot of that needs to thank, or a lot of people in WWE, especially those two guys, need to thank Braun Strowman here.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back to the second run, it really will center around the program with Bronson Reed, and then the work he put into helping get Jacob Fatu over even more, you know, than he already was. It gave Fatu a big guy to work with that he could beat. And it's kind of similar to his first run. He had a pretty good feud overall with Roman Reigns. And if you remember, you know, that one, they had some pretty good matches out of that at a time when Roman was struggling as far as, you know, the fan reaction and stuff. So this time around, it was really those two feuds, more so the Reed one. I mean, I know it was like a little side quest. It didn't last too long, but that was some of the best stuff on Monday Night Raw last fall. You know, when Bronson Reed started to really get pushed. And so Braun was the one he worked with. You mentioned the torn groin. He tore his groin in that last Monster Standing match and finished the match.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that match and thinking, oh, he has a knee injury. Something happened to his knee. And then come to find out he tore his groin, but he soldiered through and, you know, finished the match, and then he disappeared for a few months. So, you know, you use the word admirable. I think that's a good word to use for it. He did what he could, but at the end of the day, you know, he's a 40-year-old big man with bad knees. And I said this on my show. So was The Undertaker many years ago. But, you know, he's not The Undertaker, and he's not going to get treated like The Undertaker. So he, like everybody else on this list, from WWE's perspective, is expendable. And I'm sure what also hurt him is his salary. Now, I remember the first time he got let go, there was talk about him making over $1 million. I don't know when he came back that he was getting the same money he was getting previously. But I guarantee you, looking at the names on this list, can you honestly tell me that there was anybody else on this list making as much or more money than he was? Probably. No,
he was probably the one named closer to $1 million than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the number was, I'm sure he was the highest paid one on this list. But the knees were something that I think a lot of people noticed. It was very tough watching him move around. We talk about him running when he would run around the ring. He was trying to. I don't know if you would call it running or jogging or whatever you want to call it. But I think probably more than anything, it's, you know, the money he was making that did him in, and they just didn't have anything else for him to do. I think there's definite value in someone like him. I don't know what his plans are as far as, you know, post WWE, if he's going to continue wrestling. I would imagine he would. And if so, I don't know what a good landing spot would be for him. You know, a lot of people might say, well, AEW. But if we're being honest here, I mean, I don't think Tony Khan has a great track record when it comes to big men. There are big men on that roster that he could work with that I think could be fun. You know, someone like a Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs. But by and large, though, I don't think he would be a good fit. I just don't see somebody like him joining, you know, that company. I mean, it would be a way to make a living. But I mean, in terms of him being pushed at a level that he was at previously, I don't know if you agree, but I just don't see it as being a good fit.
No, I don't think that's a good fit at all. I said TNA. A lot of TNA discussion with a lot of these names, but TNA is not going to pick up all these names. I think he would benefit more from TNA than AEW. And I don't know if you remember during the pandemic, he said those not so heartwarming things about the independent talent during the pandemic. So I know a lot of those talents are probably in or around AEW or know someone in AEW, and I'm not sure Tony Khan took too kindly to those comments. So I don't even think, just based off that he would even go there just based off what he said previously. I don't know.
Yeah, I covered that extensively at the time.
Yeah.
He really put his foot in his mouth when he made those comments. It was a very dumb thing for him to say.
Yeah.
I don't know that alone is going to prevent him from getting work somewhere, because you look at him and you could look at someone like him and find a way to make money with him. So I don't think finding work is going to be an issue for him. It's more a matter of what are his expectations as far as what he's expecting to make, financially, and then what is going to be the best fit for him. TNA, as with any of the people that we're going to talk about here, has the relationship now with WWE. So if he aspires to one day end up back there, it could be an easy path back for him to work in a TNA for a year or two. So if that's something important to him, maybe that's the smart way to go. So I don't know what his plans are. I don't know, frankly, how much his body has left, just based on what we were seeing there. But there's certainly value, in him if somebody wants to pick him up and use him the right way.
Yeah, I mean, he would benefit from a nice indie run, but I don't know if Adam Scherr wants to work on the indies, and like you said, what he's going to be charging. I think he's going to come at a very high price tag. But the one thing I did want to ask you is the nature of the big man in pro wrestling. AEW has Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, not really a stereotypical big man. He's more of a powerhouse, with the whole nickname Powerhouse Hobbs.
It's in his name.
Yeah. Rusev in WWE. We got Otis. They do have a big man in Omos, but they're not using Omos. Is the nature of the big man like Braun Strowman, Omos, in this current landscape of pro wrestling dead? And is there any way that WWE is ever going to be interested in something like that again? Because Vince did that and pushed that type of talent extensively because they were an attraction. Triple H seems to think otherwise. What do you think of that?
No, I don't think it's dead. I think Vince had an obsession with it. Going back to when he went national and it was the era of the big man. Everybody was huge back then. Even the guys that were 7 feet tall were huge. Hogan was physically a huge man. And you had, Andre and Bundy and Stud and all these people. So it's just a different time now. But to say that it's completely dead, no, I don't think it's completely dead. Look at some of the people in WWE right now. I wouldn't call Drew McIntyre a small man. But if you mean in terms of like the giants, first of all, there's only so many of them at any given moment in wrestling, and they're kind of spread out right now. I think that when you have a quote unquote giant, and whatever you want to say, the 6'10" and up, let's just say, like Undertaker size. I think today there's clearly a greater emphasis on work rate, however you want to describe that, and your ability in the ring to put on a great wrestling match. The era of the great Khali being pushed to the world heavyweight title, that I don't think we're going to see in WWE. And that was strictly the only reason that Khali was pushed to the world title. And I even remember Batista, who was no small man himself, was like disgusted by that. I remember him talking about like what a disgrace it was to put the world championship on Khali because he couldn't do anything. But he was the kind of guy that would scare little kids. That's how Vince would look at it, like the airport test. If he's walking through the airport, does it get people's attention? Yeah, if I saw a great Khali walking in an airport, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and go, holy shit. And so in his mind, that's how he always promoted wrestling, when he took over from his father. It was all about those attractions. So while I wouldn't say it's dead, is it lessened? Is the emphasis now more on aspects like work rate than it would have been 30 years ago? Of course, absolutely. But you can definitely make money on the right attraction. It's all in how you push them and what is their ability level. Is it all just smoke and mirrors, or can they work? Braun Strowman was a big guy who can work. Like, no one's going to say that Braun Strowman went in there and it was just, he was big and he would growl and he couldn't do anything else. Like, he would work his ass off. And there's always going to be a spot for a guy like that.
When you can see someone like him, his size, throw a drop kick, then it's not the way Vince thought. It's a little bit more on the side of work rate, I would say, because you don't see guys doing that.
No, but of course people have expectations now that they didn't have. Wrestling has changed. It's evolved. Some people think it's devolved. Some people don't like that. They were raised on wrestling being a certain way, and they think, man, we should get back to those days where it was more about the attraction. And it wasn't about how many dives, that somebody can do. I'll admit, it does bother me when I see guys that are really, really big doing like dives in a match, because I just look at that and go, why? Like, not everybody has to be doing that the same stuff and wrestling the same way. Like that I agree with. And I think Big Show actually used to talk about how he would get reprimanded by some of the other talents, including Hogan and people he would work with in WCW, because he was doing like top rope drop kicks and nip ups and stuff. And they're like, what are you doing? You're a giant. You have to wrestle like a giant. We have a cruiserweight division. That's what the cruiserweight, you're doing the stuff the cruiserweights are doing. What the hell are the cruiserweights going to do? You know what I mean? So like, it's just an evolution of the industry and just how wrestling is portrayed on television. It's just different, than it would have been back then.
Yeah, I don't know. He came as a surprise to me. I thought there was a lot more left to do with him there, but if he wants to do this, he's going to be fine, and hopefully he gets those injuries taken care of. I would say. Well,
I was just going to say, like, the injuries also played a part in this because he was hurt earlier last year. I don't remember what the injury was. Later in the year came the torn groin. Earlier this year, he got sick, like very sick. He lost like 36 pounds in a week. So like he's been through the ringer with different illnesses and injuries over the past year. But when you're his age and you're that big and you're clearly having mobility issues, it's going to play a part. I'm sure it played some part in their decision.
Yeah, I think an indie run for him would be great. So we'll see what happens with him. He's got 90 days, so it's going to be a little bit probably towards the middle of the summer. We'll see Braun Strowman somewhere pop up. Dakota Kai was the other big name, and this really melted social media into a frenzy. She was released for a second time after her deal was not renewed in 2022. She came back 3 months later at SummerSlam. Triple H brought her back. Damage Control was formed with Bayley and Io Sky. She went on to the final of the Women's Intercontinental title tournament before losing that match to crown Lyra the Intercontinental Champion in January, and she last wrestled Jason on March 24th in 2025 this year. She, I had it pulled up, man. There was like 3 or 4 different injuries that happened to Dakota. The meniscus, the torn ACL. I think one of them was a concussion as well. She's 37 years old. I don't really know. This is a tricky one because she's so popular and she still has a lot to give. And if Triple H, we always go back to this, if Triple H wanted a solid female in that division, Dakota could have been that. I mean, I go back sometimes and I see clips online of her heel turn at War Games and Morrow's going fucking crazy and she's just fucking going and just destroying her partner there. I don't know who it was. Tegan Knox. Tegan Knox.
I think it was Tegan. Yeah.
Inside that shark cage. I mean, that was just fucking unbelievable. The amount of heat that she got and the work she did in NXT was great. And they never really followed. Damage Control was fine. The beginning stages of Damage Control was fine, but it almost felt like when, Io broke away, Asuka got hurt, Kairi got hurt, and then Dakota was just there by herself. It's almost as if Triple H, he had no desire to push Dakota on her own, and he wanted her specifically to be surrounded by others to enhance her, and never really wanted to enhance her individually. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but that's the only thing I could possibly think of. And I do think that no matter where she goes, she's going to get an even greater opportunity in AEW. I'm already here in AEW. TNA would benefit from her. I mean, out of all the releases, Jason, the fans are really upset about this. But if there's anyone that's going to go anywhere else and kill it, especially after what we've seen from WWE and lack of her getting any opportunity, she's going to fucking kill it no matter where she goes.
Yeah, and there was talk about AEW having interest in her before she went back to WWE. So I'm sure they have interest in her. Everybody should have interest in her. I think she would be a great asset to whatever women's division she lands in. But, I mentioned the same thing, when I was talking about it the other day. I think, Asuka and Kairi both getting hurt and being out for months. And then Io catching fire in the way that she did and getting over on her own. To the point where she's the world champion. She doesn't really need Damage Control anymore. It left Dakota by herself, but it's just bizarre to me because you would think this is the perfect time for Dakota to get a run at the Intercontinental title, competing for that, the United States Championship. They just introduced these 2 women's mid-card championships only a few months ago, and she felt like somebody who would be a perfect contender for either of those, and you can build a story around her for either of those. And when she came back from her last injury, they actually aired a video package for her on TV that I recall being pretty good. And it was talking about her being back and going after gold. And it felt like the beginnings of a story they were going to tell with her. And then they just didn't tell it. So that to me is what's bizarre about it. I can understand it if she, in their mind, again, injuries, and can she be trusted if we want to really build a whole story around her? Maybe they just, they were gun shy, maybe because of that. Or we're going to talk about a whole bunch of people here. There's a common thread between a lot of the mainly women on this list when it comes to especially torn ACLs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's some torn ACL curse, especially down at the Performance Center. When you look at how many, like Shotzi was another one, and like we can go down the list. So, and that wasn't her only injury issue, but I just have to say this. There's one thing that she has in common with Braun Strowman. This is the second time now that they have both been fired by this company. And maybe it's just me, and I don't know, maybe I just have too much pride. If I were them and they fired me twice, there would not be a third time.
No, not at all. It's
just hard for me to look at it. And I get it. WWE, they're the top game in town. And if you want to make the most money, I mean, Tony Khan, he doesn't pay peanuts, but if you want to make the most money and have the most visibility, and this is why competition is important, but it's still WWE. And they're always going to aspire to be there and get back there. And I get that. But when you've been fired twice, I don't care what the excuse is. That just tells me, like, you don't see the value in me. One time is one thing. 2 times, though, why would you even put yourself in a position to allow them to do you like that again? Like, there would not be a third time. I would have a chip on my shoulder like, okay, this is how you value me. You fire me twice. That's what they did with Samoa Joe. They fired him twice. Why would anybody want to go back to that?
I don't know. It's the dream, the big dream of wrestling for WWE.
Yeah.
It jades a lot of people, and that type of thing doesn't really, bother some people. I know it would bother me as a regular human being. I mean, who wants to be fired for a third time? Not even a fucking third time, not even a second time. Like, who wants to be fired a second time? But yeah, I mean, the injuries definitely amounted to a decision here, absolutely. And I'm not letting Triple H get away with this scot-free. I mean, if he wanted to push Dakota Kai with her popularity, he could have certainly, have done that. But she comes out, Chase, and she got no reaction. But it's not even her fault. It's like they didn't put any effort into making her a viable character on the show. They didn't give her any personality. All we know of her was that she was there with Io and Asuka and Kairi, and that's all we knew. Like, a 15-second, 20-second vignette is going to be great, but in the grand scheme of things, what is that going to do for the audience? Look what they're doing with Lyra. I mean, Lyra's finally developing a character and a personality, and now she's starting to slowly get over it. They never did that with Dakota Kai on the main roster. Never.
No. And to your point, I mean, look at even someone like Maxine Dupree. Okay, and I know Maxine right now is not being featured like in a prominent way, but they told a story with Maxine where she was the underdog. Yeah, she was the scrappy underdog, and she would get bullied by some of the other women on the roster, Ivy Nile and whoever. And then there were times, I think even the Royal Rumble this happened, where Maxine would start to come out. You could tell that she's made improvements in her game, and the fans would get behind her. Yeah, like they were cheering for her. They wanted to see her succeed because they told this story and portrayed her on television as this underdog. And I also think there were a lot of fans who were aware of that incident at the house show. I think, what was it? Somebody either held up a sign or made a comment that was very hurtful to her or whatever. And I know that
it was more like Maxine sucks and go away or something like that.
Right. But it became a story though. Yeah. And she was portrayed in a certain way on TV that rallied a lot of fans behind her. Dakota never had that kind of spotlight put on her. She was just part of a group. She was part of Damage Control. And that's really all we ever knew about her. They never really, it was very surface level stuff. They never really explored anything with her beyond that. So yes, that had a lot to do with it. And I think there was the potential to finally do that in a feud, let's say, or a program around one of the women's mid-card titles. And I think it could have worked. If she would have been able to stay healthy, then I think something like that could have worked. But they made the decision that, we're not going to do anything with her. She's been idling now for 2 months. I know when Nick Khan made those comments all those weeks ago, she was the first name people threw in his face, like, oh yeah, what about Dakota Kai? She's sitting on the bench. And Dakota even came out a few weeks ago and said, hey guys, not hurt. Just so you know, I'm not injured. I'm not hurt. I'm just not being used. They just didn't have anything for her. And they decided, well, we have all these women that are in developmental right now. We're starting to see some of them pop up on Raw and SmackDown. They are not hurting for female talent.
No.
And I think in this case, they just decided, well, you know what? We have all these women waiting in the wings. Maybe injuries had something to do with it, or creatively, they just didn't have anything for her. It is important, to not shy away from Triple H. Ultimately, whoever made the final call on this, he had input into these decisions, or he had to sign off on them, or he had knowledge of them. And if you wanted to kind of stand up, let's say there were other forces involved here. If you wanted to stand up and say, no, I'm putting my foot down, we need to keep her, we need to use him, he could have done that. So, because I did see some people saying, well, this was a corporate decision and we shouldn't necessarily blame.
Oh, well, come on. I mean, Ari Emanuel knows who the fuck Caden Carter is and Gigi. I mean, give me a break. Come on.
Well, the idea being like, if it was a financial thing, they may have looked at the numbers and Strowman's salary and how much this person is making, and then Nick Khan makes the final call. Maybe Nick Khan makes the final call, but again, Triple H absolutely, I'm sure, was involved in the decisions, had knowledge of the decisions, and if you're upset about it, it is perfectly fair to put blame on him if you feel like certain people were not given opportunities and were cut prematurely.
I agree. I don't think Triple H should get away with this at all. I think everybody at the corporate offices had something to do with this, including him. But with Dakota Kai, 37 years old, still a lot to give. I do think that she will end up in AEW. Like Jason said, there was a interest in AEW, or from AEW to Dakota the first go around when she was let go from WWE. A woman like this, and a woman like who we're about to talk about now in Shayna Baszler, Dakota and Shayna going to AEW could absolutely be the spark that is missing right now from that women's division that is basically being swallowed by Mercedes Moné. I mean, if you want a division that is going to have that outsider rebel-like feel to really just kind of throw a wrench into the system, I mean, Dakota and Shayna coming in, bro, I think would do that.
Let's not get carried away. Every time, come on. I mean, come on. Every time, we go through this every time. Okay, this happened when Paige came in. This happened when Mercedes came in. I think Mercedes is great. But there are people who say, okay, this could be the turning point. This could be the spark that lights the fuse. And in the end, yeah, they become another member of the roster. There is no one woman. There is no one man. There is no one person. I mean, I guess if fucking John Cena decided to go to AEW, then maybe, but there really is not that one person that's going to, create wholesale changes. So I would not get carried away and say that there's a spark those two would light. Do I feel like they have something to contribute? If, let's say, Tony wanted to bring them in, it all comes down to, what does Tony want to do with them? To just bring them in is not enough. You can bring in anybody you want to. Does he have a role in mind for them? Is he going to give someone like Shayna Baszler, let's say, the kind of push that she got when she was a killer in NXT? Because that, I think, could work. But if he's just going to bring her in to be another person on the roster, it's not going to matter. She's going to be forgotten about in 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, you got Shayna potentially out there. They could bring in Ronda. They got Marina there. I mean, the horsewomen there could run AEW. They wanted.
Yeah, again, I don't see that creating some kind of tidal wave in the women's division. The thing with Shayna, and again, we should just say we don't know exactly what went into each one of these decisions. So we have our own ideas and thoughts on this, but they obviously don't share those decisions. We don't know who made the final call, what the reason was, what Shayna was making. I know Shayna, compared to a lot of the women on the roster, I was actually very surprised when I was reminded of her age.
Me too.
Because I knew she was around 40. I didn't know she was 44.
She don't look it at all, bro.
No, not at all. Or work like it. So that was surprising to me. And that creates a whole other conversation, because you bring up her age and it's like, yeah, well, so what? Look at all the men that they have that are in their early, mid, even late 40s, who were pushed in WWE, and nobody ever makes an issue out of it. And I think there is something to be said for that, but you have to acknowledge it, because in the eyes, I think, of the company and of management, they do look at it differently. And traditionally, I think they have looked at it differently. You don't find examples of too many women in WWE history who were pushed with any significance who were the age that Shayna Baszler is. And I don't think that should really have anything to do with it. I feel like, as I do for everybody, that at the end of the day, it comes down to your ability. Yeah. Your ability in the ring, your ability to draw money. That's the most important thing. Did they look at someone like Shayna and say, okay, we've done, she's been here a while. We've done what we can do. We've tried The fans haven't really gotten behind her. We have all these women coming up that are 20 years younger.
Yeah.
And we have all these big plans for them. We only have so many spots on TV. Did it come down to that?
Yeah, absolutely. To go back to your first ageism point, Becky did say something about this. Becky Lynch on the Raw recap show with Sam Roberts. She said it seems to be harder on the women's division. Like, look at the men. Who do you got there that's hot and young and over? None. You got a bunch of old lads beating each other up. The only time I'm going to move over is to make way for more titles. Now, she
mentioned her husband, by the way, in that too.
Well,
she mentioned Rollins as an example.
Yeah, I mean, she was kind of in character, but at the same time, she riddled it in truth. It is definitely a problem, more so with the women and in that division more so than the men. And like Jason said, this one is a multifaceted, huge question. Like, why was Shayna released? No matter how you want to move away from the discussion about how old Shayna Baszler is, I do think that played a huge part in why she was let go. Because like Jason said, WWE's optics, am I going to push Shayna Baszler at 44 years old, even though she's talented as fuck? Or am I going to go and put a lot more resources into a Sol Ruca or Roxanne Perez or a fucking Jada Parker or Stephanie Vaquer or anybody in that NXT system? Yeah, and then you got the NXT system, you got the Performance Center, you got Evolve. I mean, there are so many women that are ready to just break out, and they don't have any room for them. From Evolve to NXT, there's barely any room. From the Performance Center to Evolve, there's probably barely any room. From the NXT to the main roster, there's no room. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to let people go. So I'm not surprised that Shayna was let go. I'm disappointed that Shayna was let go because, like Jason also said, creative fucked her up. She was one of the more dominant NXT Women's Champions in history. Outside Asuka, there was nobody better than Shayna. 600 days as champion combined. She was a fucking killer. When she was on TV, it was exciting. It was great. She got the call up, Jason, and she was supposed to take out Becky Lynch at the Gymnasium WrestleMania during COVID. And Vince said no. And Becky was about to announce that she was pregnant. And she wanted to drop the title to Shayna, and we got that whole vampire fucking thing where Shayna bit Becky's neck, and we got the blood and that great visual. And Vince said, "No, I'm not putting the belt on Shayna," and ended up giving it to Asuka. So I don't know why from that moment on we didn't get the Shayna that we got in NXT, and from that moment on it was basically tag team with Nia, tag team with this one, tag team with that one, and she never ever even came close to what she did in NXT, and creative fucked her up.
Yeah, I mean, it was like once she was slotted in as a tag team wrestler, that was pretty much it. She teamed with Ronda for a little bit. She teamed with Zoe more recently, Nia. She just became kind of the tag team specialist. That was really the time to do something with her, is shortly after she got called up. And if you remember that Elimination Chamber, she was a killer in that Elimination Chamber. She was eliminating people left and right leading into that Gymnasium WrestleMania. So it looked like, okay, we're seeing the Shayna Baszler from NXT.
Didn't she eliminate the entire field in that Elimination Chamber?
I want to say she did. If it wasn't the entire field, it was most, but I think she did. I think she eliminated all of them. Crazy. In pretty dominant fashion. And so it looked like she was on that I still don't get the vampire stuff with the biting of the neck and the blood, like she was, fucking Count Dracula. I don't understand that. Vince always has to put his little mark on things, but Becky in her book said she lobbied for Shayna to win the title from her. If it was up to her, Shayna would have won the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania 36. And in part, there was a little bit of selfishness in there because she realized that she might have been getting a little stale. And so she looked at the bigger picture and said, if she beats me, first of all, it saves me from being labeled, oh, she never loses. And then eventually I'll be able to work with her and get, wrestle for the title and everything. So she was looking at it long term, and I'm sure at the time she didn't know that she was pregnant, obviously, but that's how things worked out. Once they made that decision, that was it. The only other time she was really pushed with any kind of significance, remember when Ronda was leaving and Ronda wanted to work with her and do the honors for her, and they tried, but like the only reason the crowd would get behind Shayna then was because they hated Ronda. That was the only time Shayna ever really got any kind of reaction.
Ice cold.
So I think ice cold. I think by that point, the die was cast. It had been so many years, and it's tough. When you get slotted at a certain level, I think we talked about this with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Like, the longer they go on doing what they've been doing, it's going to be very difficult, I think, for a lot of fans to buy into an Austin Theory if they ever decide to try with him at a high level, because he's been booked like a goof for so long. It's damaging to your career.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to Shayna. She's still ready to go for another few years. She'll kill it on the indies wherever she goes. I think she could either do AEW, she'd be a great fit there, or TNA. TNA's probably got one of the best women's divisions in all of North America. So
well, I would imagine we'll see her do a lot more in Bloodsport as well.
Yeah, I could see that as well. So yeah, Shayna's gone. A little disappointed there that whatever came out of Black and Gold did never materialize on the main roster. So she's gone. Katana Chance and her tag team partner, Kaden Carter, gone. The only real women's tag team in WWE, gone. And I wish the tag team titles would have followed suit, honestly. Katana, this is Casey Catanzaro, gymnastics background. You guys know American Ninja Warrior, signed with WWE in 2017. They were a tag team for what, Jason? 4 or 5 years?
At least 5 years, yes.
She and Kaden were very good. Again, got the call up from NXT. They killed it on NXT. You always saw something new out of them. They were coming up with moves left and right. They were dynamic. They were high flying. They were exciting. Even the entrance in NXT felt fucking great. And then when they got called up to the main roster, that party gimmick kind of went away. Yeah, and they just never fit the bill because WWE doesn't really give a shit about women's tag team wrestling, even though they want to put on this front. They are gone. And now the discussion is, who's left? Liv and Raquel are the tag team champions. There's not one single tag team outside maybe the Secret Hervis, if you even want to call them a tag team, that's even in the division. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, and you didn't even mention the fact that Liv is one half of the tag team champions, and she's gone for at least a month. She's in Japan filming a movie, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to take the titles off them because who cares? Who cares? What are they going to do? They're going to have a tournament with what? With what teams? So that's how like decrepit this so-called division is. They're like, yeah, one half of the champs are going to be gone for at least a month. Whatever. But look at what they've done. Like Alba and Isla done, right? Because they released Isla Dawn last year. Yep. Obviously here, Casey and Caden together, right? Gone. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, they were a team for a while. And now Shayna is gone. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Jakara Jackson was swept up in this wave as well. And they did some matches on SmackDown. It looked like they were about to get the call up together. And then on NXT last week, they broke up. They all kind of went their separate ways, the Meta Four. 2 of the members in the Meta Four, because Oro Mensah was part of this as well. He's gone. But Jakara Jackson gone. So that team now broken up. Becky and Lyra were put together at WrestleMania and won the titles. And then Becky turned on her the very next night. So that team didn't last very long. So you look at this so-called women's, tag team division, and it's just, that's to say nothing, by the way, of Bianca and Jade, right? They're not together anymore. Bianca and Naomi, that team's not together anymore. Who's left? There is no division.
Mia Yim and B-Fab are not a tag team, folks.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Just because they were put together 2 weeks ago, that does not make them a tag team.
Natty and Maxine Dupre are not a tag team.
No. That's why they didn't do it. That's why they didn't strip Liv and Raquel also, because realistically, even if they wanted to, what do? You strip them and then what? What you should do is put them on ice and just forget about them for a while.
You should.
Or just relegate them back to NXT because they certainly have enough talent down there to make that work. It's a joke. And to me, all it does is reinforce what a lot of people already thought and knew about tag team division, how WWE views the women's tag team titles and the women's tag team division. They don't.
No.
They don't.
No, a lot of people were making a big deal about this online when the release was happening. Or the releases were happening. How could they do this to the tag team division? It's dead now, folks. It's been dead. It's been dead. It's been dead 2 months after they fucking created the titles and they took the belts off Sasha and Bailey to put them on Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Give me a break.
What is this now? They're dead now. What are these people watching?
I don't know.
Dead now.
It's been dead. They've been dead for what? 5 years, 6 years now. Come on, it's over. Burn them. Get rid of them. Give me the belts and let me melt them into fucking liquid gold and metal and leather. So come on, it's over. I think they go to TNA. That's the only other division right now that houses tag team championships, and I think they'd fucking kill it over there. And again, like with the partnership with WWE, I mean, who's to say that they may not end up back in WWE at a later date? But I do think that's the best case for them. They're gone. Never got a real fair shake on the main roster, and I thought they were fantastic. I thought they were great. Gigi Dolin, another one who had a lot of promise, and she obviously came in from the indies to WWE. She was a part of the Casino Battle Royale at the first All Out event in 2019. I was there with Jesse. That was a great show. Kelly signed, or Gigi Dolin, signed with WWE in January of 2021. She is now back to her old name, Jason, of Priscilla Kelly, and she's going to be back on the indies in 30 days because she is a part of that NXT release. So 30 days non-compete. She's already changed her name and her handle on social media. This is an easy one to see why people are... I wouldn't say people shouldn't be upset about this because the group actually had main roster potential. I do think they were put together by Vince and Bruce for main roster. It is Toxic Attraction. And the fact that they were so prominent in 2.0, and when Mandy Rose got fired, it seemingly killed both JC Jane and Gigi Dolin. JC Jane went on to do whatever she's doing with Fatal Influence and have a little bit of a singles run. I think JC and Gigi feuded a little bit before Fatal Influence got together. But Gigi got hurt. She was out for about 9-10 months. She came back and literally, Jason, everything kind of just blew past her, and she just was a fish out of water, man. She didn't know where she fit in. WWE didn't know where to slot her in. They paired her and Shotzi with Tatum Paxley together. That never really got anywhere. Yeah, I mean, this is just a situation where Toxic Attraction was so over, and when they went away, so did everything with Gigi Dolin.
And another torn ACL.
Yeah, that too.
She also suffered an injury. She was off television for a while. And for a lot of people, that ends up being the kiss of death because you're out of sight, out of mind. And unless you're a major star where you can build anticipation for your return, it's going to hurt you. Yeah, it's going to work against you. It's not like she was doing a lot beforehand, but I think she was involved in something. I don't remember what the storyline was that she was just getting involved in, but it could be the kiss of death for so many people. But like you said, I mean, ever since the worst thing that happened to her, it wasn't even Mandy being fired. It was breaking up her and JC Jane. And JC Jane is still there, but even JC Jane kind of bounced around for a while, right? She was part of Chase U, I think, and now she's part of, it's kind of like a knockoff.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
You go from Toxic Attraction to Fatal Influence. I mean, not a huge difference there. I kind of worry about her future because I like JC, but she's another one where it just feels like she's bounced around, and that could happen in developmental. You're trying to find yourself, but I don't know. It just hasn't really worked out for her either. Gigi is somebody who I think I could see her having a fan following that will help her greatly. Back on the independent scene. If she's going to sign somewhere, I don't know. I'm sure that there'll be interest in her as well. I don't know where she'll end up, but I do think that there are people who will follow her, who are fans of hers, and hopefully she'll be able to flourish, somewhere else, because coming out of Toxic Attraction, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot there, and then she got hurt, and it just derailed whatever momentum she had going for her.
Yeah, I think a TNA, signing
Knockouts.
Knockouts division would be great for her. I think she fit in like a glove over there. And again, the partnership with WWE, who's to say? WWE wanted to get rid of her, but if she goes over to TNA, that's always a great positive there. Eddie Thorpe, he is no longer with NXT. He's been wrestling for 10 years, so he came in and he had some experience already coming from the New Japan Dojo. Since 2018, he trained there. He was part of the Young Lions group. That included Clark Connors and Alex Coughlin. He left New Japan in 2022. He signed with WWE, and he feuded with Trick Williams earlier this year. He actually beat Trick Williams in a strap match at Vengeance Day, but lost an NXT Underground match to Trick Williams when they had a rematch. He was a part of a Fatal 4-Way match on April 15th, which was won by Ethan Page, which netted him a shot at Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship. And that was basically what he was known for in NXT. I said it, Jason, Eddie Thorpe, I didn't really know a lot about him before WWE, but when I seen him on television, there wasn't really a lot there from me as far as an emotional investment in the character that he was playing on television. Again, his age, I don't want to say it's the reason, but again, I think he's about 37, 38 years old, so it's definitely on the older side of things, especially for the NXT system. What do you make of Eddie Thorpe being released?
I didn't see him being somebody who was going to be imminently called up. And I think age does work against you. If you're down there in developmental, there's not much else that I can say. I mean, he seemed to, argue a lot with some people and podcasters online there for a little bit. I don't know what that was all about, but, beyond that, I don't know what to say. Shawn Michaels tried a few different things with him.
Yeah.
They got him involved in the NXT Championship picture for a while. Like you said, he feuded with Trick Williams. I remember one clever segment where he faked an injury to get a guaranteed title match from Ava. They've done a lot to make Ava look like a very incompetent general manager on that show. So that was kind of clever. But beyond that, I never watched him in NXT and thought, okay, this is someone that they have big plans for to be called up. Yeah, you could look at an Oba Femi or a Trick Williams or a Ricky Saints and say, okay, these guys have a bright future for them on Raw and SmackDown. I never got the impression the company was sort of preparing for that kind of future with Eddie Thorpe. I don't frankly know what their plans were for him. Evidently, they didn't have any, or else he would still be there. So I guess that answers that question. Doesn't mean he's not talented. It doesn't mean he won't be able to find work somewhere else. I hope he does. But beyond that, there really isn't a whole lot else to say about it.
Likewise, I feel the same way there. Again, was never, in my opinion, going to get to that level on the main roster, and they let him go as well. Jakara Jackson, this is another one that kind of melted social media into a frenzy here. And she's young, and I gave her, Jason, out of all the names on this list, I gave her a pass. Because she's only been doing this since 2021. She was actually part of the WWE tryouts in Las Vegas during SummerSlam weekend that year, signed with the company, has not been doing this long at all. She never had a pro wrestling match before WWE. She started having matches 1 year later and began to appear on Level Up. That was an NXT-inspired show. She joined Meta 4 with Noam Dar, Oa Mensa, and Lash Legend. And then, like Jason said before, Jackson and Legend would form a tag team. And now Lash Legend is the only one to remain from the team in WWE. She was actually at last year's Crown Jewel in Saudi in a fatal four-way match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And Metaphor disbanded on Tuesday's NXT, which I guess kind of signaled that this decision was made before taping Tuesday's episode of NXT. So this decision was not a decision made on Friday.
No, this was not last minute.
No,
they had some sense, at least with some of these names, they had some sense in advance that this was coming.
Yeah, 3 years, Jason. That's easy to let this one slide. I don't know why WWE let her go so soon. And I remember reading not too long ago, I think it was probably late last year, probably third or fourth quarter of last year, where WWE, there was a report, if they see that you're not progressing and everybody gets like a 6-month trial basis, or there's like a 6-month reassessment evaluation. I don't know if Jakara fell into that and she just wasn't progressing the way WWE wanted, and then they let her go just based off that. But this is something that, she is definitely, or should use as fuel. If she wants to continue doing this, go fucking make a name for yourself on the indies. And within 2 or 3 years, she's young enough. If WWE is interested, which I'm sure they will, they'll bring her right back. But I think the indies will do her well, or maybe TNA, who knows? Again, another TNA reference. But if she wants to continue doing this as young as she is, and with the little experience that she has, Jason, there's a lot to learn, and she could make herself into whatever she wants to be now.
Yeah, it always felt to me like Lash was the one that they really saw great potential in, because they would talk a lot about her athletic, accomplishments and her athletic background. But again, it's kind of a waste because they put them together as a tag team. And they actually did wrestle some matches. They were making appearances on SmackDown there for a while. So it felt like at some point they're going to be called up. I even talked, before WrestleMania, and I think this is also something that Kevin Castle talked about.
He did.
Leading into WrestleMania, which is maybe they are going to call up Lash and Jakara, and they would be paired up with Naomi. Especially if Naomi gets the win over Jade at WrestleMania, maybe she has a little bit of help. And that didn't happen, and now the team's broken up because one of them is gone. So that part of it sucks, because at least then they could have, injected some life into the tag division. But again, the tag division doesn't exist. So that doesn't really matter. She's young enough, like you said, if she continues to improve, I'm sure they'll give her another look. It could have been just as simple as that. That was something, and I don't think it was late last year. I think it was a few years ago. And it might've been Triple H who said that, if they feel like you're not making improvements after 6 months, then they'll move on. And who knows if that was the case here. But we have to remember that there are people in their developmental system who did not come from the indie scene, and they're not veterans, and they're very young, and they probably were products of the Performance Center. And you are going to be evaluated based upon your progress. So who knows how many of these names may have fallen into that category where it's like, well, they're not improving fast enough for us, and we have kind of a backlog of people here because there's so many people down there that it was time for her to go. Doesn't mean they won't give her a look again in the future, though.
Yeah, she is. I'm going to be very interested to see what she does. I know a lot of people thought very highly of her, but again, 3 years. She got 30 days, so we'll see what happens with her. Gallus, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang. Now, this NXT UK was great. Pandemic killed it. I was sad. They were a big part of that, especially Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey. Wolfgang was tremendous over there too in the early days of that tag team division. They migrated over from NXT UK to NXT proper here in Florida, and that shut down in 2022. Mark Coffey, Wolfgang won the NXT tag team titles in February of 23 at Vengeance Day, held the titles for nearly 6 months before losing them to Tony D'Angelo and Stax. They largely had been inactive on NXT. I think they actually had a lot to do with training The Rock for his tag team match last year at WrestleMania. Yeah. And like I said, they've been inactive for a while in NXT. They reserved for Evolve and live events over the past 6 months, and that was basically what they were being used for.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I don't know about Mark and Joe Coffey. I know Wolfgang, though, going back to the NXT UK days, I mean, he had about 8 years there. So it's not like he was there for a short period of time. I mean, you know, all things considered, I know he didn't get called up to the main roster, but he had a decent run there. There was a period of time there where I actually thought maybe they were going to get the call up and be paired off with Drew McIntyre. And they were going to give McIntyre like his own little Scottish gang and use that affiliation with McIntyre as a way to introduce them to the main roster, even if they kind of eventually split away from each other.
That would have been great.
Especially when McIntyre was all alone, you know, going it alone against the Bloodline, that he would bring in his own posse, and they just didn't do it. So, I mean, this one, I don't want to say I was surprised just because it felt like they weren't doing too much with them and they had been there for a while. But 8 years is, you know, nothing to sneeze at. I don't know if the plan is for them to go back home or, you know, stick around here and try to sign somewhere else. I don't know what their plans are. But I was thinking about that and I said, man, I interviewed Wolfgang many years ago. And I said, I had to go back and look, and it was about 7 or 8 years ago, you know, right around the time that this was all first going down. And I was like, man, it's a long time. It's a long period of time.
Well, obviously age played a factor in that. I mean, 8 years in NXT, like, well, how much more time do you need? Like, if they don't have a plan for you to move up, then, you know, goodbye.
Well, again, I mean, they were working on the independent scene in ICW many years ago, and then NXT UK was supposed to be something much bigger than it ended up being, and the pandemic did hurt it. Yeah. And then they just shut it down, and they migrated certain people over, and they were some of the people they migrated over. Had things worked out with NXT UK, and if it, you know, thrived, and the pandemic never happened, I don't know. I don't know if it would have really altered the trajectory of their careers or not. We'll never know. Certainly didn't help things.
No, that NXT UK brand was special. There's a lot of talent right now that we're seeing that was a part of that brand. Fraxium, or well, actually Axiom was a part of that over there. Dragunov, A-Kid, Dragunov, Gunther, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Bea Priestley was there, and then she got released, Blair Davenport. Rhea Ripley was a part of that. Ginny was there. Tony Storm was a part of that. Now look at where Tony is. I mean, she's fucking killing it. So NXT UK, they born a lot of talent. So I do miss it. I thought those takeover shows were fucking unbelievable. One of the best matches that I think WWE's ever produced was Tyler Bate and Gunther.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was great. And actually, the pandemic screwed us out of what was supposed to be a Dublin takeover, which would have had Walter and Finn Balor. We never got to see it.
That would have been great. Yeah. They're gone. Gallus, I don't know where they end up. Joe and Mark Coffey, they are still young enough, I believe, they want to go anywhere. They could kill it. Wolfgang, I don't know, but Gallus is gone. Cora Jade was another one that melted social media and just caused a frenzy online. You know, she is so young. I think she's 24 years old. She signed with WWE just after her 20th birthday. She started appearing on 205 Live in the beginning stages. NXT, she went from a popular babyface to a heel. She began a feud with Roxanne Perez. In January, though, Jason, again, torn ACL, missed 9 months of action. She came back. She aligned herself with Roxanne Perez as Roxanne turned from a babyface to a heel, which was great for her trajectory in NXT because she basically took over Cora's gimmick and did it herself. So when she came back, they just paired them together. After splitting the two up, they briefly reunited for Stand and Deliver. They were on the pre-show, part of a Fatal 4-Way elimination match for the tag team titles, or a shot at the tag team titles, which was eventually won by Gigi and Tatum Paxley. Her last match was a week ago at a live event in Dade City versus Sol Ruca, who is currently the NXT Women's North American Champion. I don't know what the problem is here, Jason, because all I heard was that she was getting ready for bigger and better things. I do think a call-up was imminent. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I do think that the spot that Julia holds right now with Roxanne Perez on the main roster while they're feuding with Io and Rhea, I do think that was reserved for Cora Jade, and they just moved Julia into that spot. 24 years old, again, injuries. I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys like I always am. I didn't really see a lot there from an in-ring perspective, Jason. I don't know what you thought of Cora Jade, but I do think that this is definitely a mixture of an injury that she never really kind of recuperated from and really gotten back to full strength. And I do think it's a mixture of that and the in-ring aspect as well. And they just let her go because of both of those factors.
Well, apparently you asked what's next for Cora Jade. Evidently, she made the announcement that what's next for Cora Jade is an OnlyFans.
Gee, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Bro.
Well, apparently $15.99 a month to subscribe, and that kicks off next month. So.
The next Mandy Rose is what I predicted on Friday.
Though? Mandy Rose made bank. Okay, when she started doing OnlyFans, or was it OnlyFans or some other
something
service?
similar? Something similar, yes.
Yeah, whatever. But I think at one point she was claiming she made more money in, was it like a month than she made her entire WWE run or something crazy, which I can believe. And hey, God bless her. Hey, whatever it takes. You hustle and you don't have to take bumps. Shit, it's not the worst idea in the world. But yeah, apparently that's what she's going to be doing. Yeah, Cora Jade felt like somebody who the company was very high on. And even recently they had her working some matches in TNA. She was added to that match, if you remember, at Vengeance Day a few months ago, and they turned it into a fatal 4-way. And I remember looking at it and going, all right, well, I think her experience level of everybody in that match was the lowest. And I almost felt...
I was going to say, was that the one with Stephanie, Jordan, and Jada?
Yes.
Okay, that was a good match.
Was it Jada? Was it Jada or somebody else?
I think it was Jada. Yeah.
I think so. But she played her part. She played her role. I thought she looked fine. She looked good in that match. But, when you compare her to some of the other women they have down there right now and her experience level relative to their experience level, she was not, the best that they had in the women's division there. But, she carved out her niche. I think her character work was good. Her promos were a little weird. I don't know. I would watch NXT sometimes, and it was like she would pause after every third word. She had this weird delivery. I don't know if that's how they're teaching people down there or what it was. I remember commenting on that once. She, though, is somebody who I think has a very rabid fan base, who I think will follow her in whatever she does. So I don't think it's going to be hard for her to find work somewhere, TNA in the Knockouts division. You know what? I could see her going there and actually becoming one of the bigger players in that Knockouts division. She's already worked a few matches there.
Yeah.
And that could be her pipeline back in, because here's the thing with her. I guarantee you, it won't take longer than a few years. She will be back in WWE.
Yeah.
She's only 24 years old. Like you said, she signed when she was 20 years old. If she continues to work, we have to say if, because Mandy Rose didn't. Mandy Rose was content to kind of do her own thing, OnlyFans. I think she has a podcast, and she's content doing that. Mandy Rose is not out there working indies. She didn't go sign with anybody else. She's another one, by the way, who I think will be back one day. Cora can go out there and kill it and continue to improve. She could become the face of a division somewhere in the next few years, potentially. And she will end up back in WWE. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
She will end up back in WWE.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree on that. And I'm not surprised by this news today. Who knows? It might have been something where she had a backstage issue or there was an attitude issue. I don't know. And then they let her go. I mean, we heard that about Velveteen Dream before all the nonsense that came out about him.
Well, I did see that she posted something. I don't know if you want to bring up the comment, but she made a comment online about how she would have to work out at a different gym because she was being body shamed by some of the people who work there, like coaches and talents.
Yeah, she I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but she did say some of the people that worked at the Performance Center, some of her coaches and some of the NXT staff body shamed her. I don't know in what way. This was made just a couple of days ago on social media. I don't know if that was something that led to her release. We can't speculate on that. We don't.
Well, I mean, that would be fucked up if there were people body shaming her and then they released her.
Honestly, from a dude to another dude, who's body shaming Cora Jade? Like really? Honestly, Chad, who's body shaming Cora Jade?
Evidently somebody.
Be fucking blind.
Well, evidently somebody. We don't know what that means, but I mean, body shaming can be anything. So. If that's true, I mean, that's obviously fucked up.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when the time is right, she may not want to burn that bridge. But I feel like if that was something serious that was going on, then people should know about it and fucking name names. But again, she may not want to burn that bridge, which I get. But yeah, there may have been other things going on there that we're not aware of. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She's already back to her indie name, Elena Black, and obviously she's got her roadmap all carved out. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. The other name here, and before we have Shotzi as well, we'll talk about Shotzi, but Riley Osborne, he was one of the names. Danny Palmer was another Evolve name released. Whatever was being said online, I mean, it's all speculatory. Her political affiliations, people really kind of threw her under the bus for that. But she mentioned something on Instagram, Jason, where she was an athlete prior. I think she did gymnastics or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. Yep. And her hip, she had double hip replacement surgery.
At 25. That's 25 years old. That's
ridiculous. So she basically alluded that her pro wrestling career is over. She met her fiance. I don't know if what is it, Tank, a Ledger from Hank and Tank she's with? Yep. She met him there working at the Performance Center, and she's about to just embark on a new chapter of her life. She just getting back into like her own business. So it is what it is. She's 25 years old. She's not going to do the pro wrestling thing anymore. They let her go, and she made that known on social media. Riley Osborne is another one. Real name Josh Terry, joined NXT as part of the men's breakout tournament in 23, and he was actually part of the Chase U group, which is another group that has no shelf life on the main roster at all. There was a lingering storyline there with Thea Hale, and she had a crush on Osborne and ended with Hale aligning herself with JC Jane and drifting from Chase U. Ridge Holland defeated Andre Chase, disbanded Chase U.
What is this? What is this soap opera stuff that you're describing to me right now? Say that last part again.
Osborne, Thea Hale had a crush on Osborne and ended with Hale aligning herself with JC Jane and drifting away from Chase U. Then Ridge Holland defeated Andre Chase to disband Chase U, and Osborne left NXT.
Okay, so I knew that. I knew he was a part of Chase U. It got disbanded. Actually, I think they just reunited.
Andre Chase is back, yes.
Yes. But you were getting into some of the soap opera elements.
Well, that's why I don't watch NXT on a weekly basis, because of this nonsense here. But he popped up in Evolve in March. Chase U had just been relaunched, like Jason said. Osborne was not present for the Chase U relaunch. He only had 4 matches this year before his release, and he's not wrestled since February. Apparently, Jason, prior to his release, there was a report where Osborne reportedly made it clear that he did not want to be moved to Evolve at all, and he actually called that out today by saying, I worked the first set of Evolve tapings the day after my wife was released. His wife is B. Priestley, Blair Davenport. When I was told by head coach on a phone call that night, I can have off tomorrow if I need it, to be with my wife, as we had to pull out of the house we were like 2 weeks away from closing on. All I had to do was tell him, I'd like just a day to be with her. I was the first person in that building the next day and was commended on my professionalism. I will not have my work ethic questioned when I was busting my ass off in rehab to return, which I knew would be for Evolve. Not everything you read online is true. So again, conflicting reports here with why he was released, and then he puts out an official statement himself to kind of fan those flames. Again, I didn't really know much about him. I didn't watch NXT enough to know that he was even part of the Chase U group. But all I heard, Jason, I don't know if you heard this, was that there was similarities to Randy Orton. He had a great body type. He had a great look. and that he was young enough to be on the trajectory of that if he went through the system. But he's gone now.
People have said that about Miles Bourne, though, also. They call him like a Randy Orton lookalike also. The thing with Osborne is, I didn't realize this until today. He was hurt when he got fired. He posted pictures online, pretty nasty photos of his ankle, all stitched up. So he's currently out hurt. He just had surgery, and they fired him.
Well, it won't be the first time they did that. They did that just recently with Carl Anderson, didn't they?
Well, they've done it with other people before, but they did it with Anderson as well. So that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone. That is fucked up for sure. But again, not much is known about why. Conflicting reports. Who knows where he's going to end up? Again, just like Cora Jade, WWE could reassess the situation, bring him back in a few years. We don't really know what's going on there. But those are the names that were released on Friday. And then we heard about Shotzi, and we just talked about her in the beginning of the show. Shotzi will not have her contract renewed. She will be a free agent. This was followed up by a report from SAP, who said she has not been released, but her contract is up, and she was informed that WWE will not be extending it. So that is the latest there with Shotzi. But again, Jason, I said, just to wrap this up with the releases, I mean, indie wrestling, the independent scene is thriving and is as hot as it's ever been, and there's more opportunities now than ever before. And you know, Matt Cardona put out his post-WrestleMania statement that he does every year. If you want it, the indies are there. Go make your money. If not, you could do what you want with it. But, he basically summed it up by saying, if you want it hard enough, you work hard enough, it's there, because the indies are fucking hot. There's more opportunity now than ever, and I don't really feel like any of these names, if they want it, they have any chance to go make a name for themselves if they want it.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to, then they will. There are some people who, they get released and they kind of fall off the face of the earth, and you don't really see their names mentioned on, the independent scene or anything. So it all comes down to the individual. If you have younger people who maybe tried this out and it didn't work out, they may say, maybe this isn't for me, and they kind of move on and do something else.
Yeah.
But for the people who want to continue on and pursue this, there, like you said, there are a lot of opportunities out there to do so. Probably now more so than at any other point since the territory days. As far as different now, it's different if you're talking about making the kind of money the WWE could pay. Then there's always going to be limited opportunities in wrestling to make that kind of money. But if they want to pursue this, then they can go out there and do it. And if their goal is to get back to WWE one day, it's absolutely doable. People have done it before. Maybe their goal is to work overseas. Again, everybody has a different path for their career, but it sucks whenever somebody loses their job, regardless of who it is, especially if it wasn't really either through their any major fault of their own. You hear budget cuts given as a reason, or stuff like that. People make fun. Oh, WWE's making all this money, and they're lauding all their new gate records, and this was just the most successful WrestleMania. Then they fire a bunch of people. It's a bad look. The reality is, this also may not have to do with economics as much as it may just have to do with the fact that, look, we have a whole bunch of people that we're either signing or getting ready to call up. And if they don't have plans for a Riley Osborne or a Jakara Jackson or a Cora Jade or a Shayna Baszler, you're on the bubble, and you're probably going to end up getting cut, because there's only so many hours of television to go around. And they're going to want to call up new people, bring in new people. We talk about the bench, right? Nick Khan was talking about the bench a few weeks ago. You can keep people on the bench. The problem is the bench is only so long. Eventually, you crowd the bench so much, you fall off the end of the bench. So you can't just collect people like statues and just do nothing with them. This is the problem. Tony Khan has had this problem. WWE, I said this when they signed Aleister Black, and there was talk of Ricky Starks coming in, and Rusev is going to come back, right? All these people. Penta they signed, Ray Phoenix they signed, Jeff Cobb is probably coming in. There's talk about Mariah May. They may have interest in bringing her in. You can't just bring people in and not get rid of other people. It's the same issue that Tony Khan faced, right? You can't just collect people unless you plan to use them. It's unfair to the talent. Wrestlers want to wrestle. They want to work. I'm sure most of these people, even the ones that are getting paid pretty well, they don't want to just come to work and sit in the back and watch other people get over and wrestle, right? They want to be out there too. Why can't I be on TV? Why can't I have a story of my own? Why can't I show what I can do? Or why am I going out there and working a 2.5-minute match? So wrestlers want to work. It's unfair to them to sign them and not do anything with them. The best thing to do is to part ways. If you truly have no plans to use them, if you don't see the value in them, let them go and let them spread their wings and go work somewhere else. And maybe one day when they come back, the company will be like, hey, you know what? We didn't know this person could do that. And your value all of a sudden is going to be so much greater than it was when they let you go the first time.
Is it a situation in WWE, when 2.0 got started, there was a lot of priority on building from within. The Performance Center would lead to NXT TV time, and they really wanted and put a stamp on homegrown talent. They wanted to build from within instead of going out and doing what Triple H did with the Black and Gold, which was basically Ring of Honor light for WWE. They just brought in anybody that was an indie name, an indie darling, and they just put them on WWE TV with the production, the fucking vibrant entrances, and the big crowds. Is it now a situation where WWE is going back to what Triple H did by bringing in outside talent instead of building from within? They're doing a very good job of building from within. I mean, we got Evolve, we got, LFG, we have the Performance Center. So WWE's got multi-layered stages of different talent and where to go and how to cultivate talent. But it seemingly looks like they are more prone to going outside and bringing in a Ricky Saints and an Ethan Page and a Mariah May and eventually a Wardlow and a Penta and a Ray Phoenix and all these major names that eventually were, stars over in AEW. We could sit here and talk for an entire fucking podcast length about how WWE will do anything that they can to take away from AEW because they get off on it. But they're putting more of a priority on taking established names more than anything instead of waiting for the Performance Center kids to get ready and be ready for TV. Is this a negative towards everybody that's in Evolve and in the Performance Center because WWE's going out and getting ready-made talent and getting them on TV immediately?
Yes and no. First of all, the idea that they shouldn't be doing that at all, I think is kind of ridiculous.
No, I never alluded to that. I think they actually should.
So anybody who thinks that, that's just completely preposterous. You will always want to have more experienced talents. There's nothing wrong with going out and saying, hey, we want Ricky Saints, right? Now, you mentioned that they want to take away from AEW. They are competing from the same talent pool. So there is that competition for talent that will always be there. If somebody becomes available, of course, WWE is going to have an interest in them. Doesn't mean they're going to sign them, but they may have an interest in bringing them in, giving them a tryout. So I think you want to just find that right mix. I don't think you want to have a roster full of just, people from the Performance Center that they made from scratch. You need people for them to work with, like an Aleister Black or a Penta or a Ray Phoenix. And look, if Penta and Ray Phoenix become available, you're a fucking idiot if you don't go after them. Okay, there's just some talents that are like, it's a no-brainer. Of course, you're going to want to bring them in, even if they're 40, because Penta's like 40, even Penta's not like a young guy. But how the hell are you not going to go after somebody like Penta if he becomes available? I think he's been great so far, obviously. So you got to be careful. You don't want to lean too far in one direction. We've seen promotions do that before where they just lean into just the names or the people who are in their late 30s, early 40s, and that pretty much populates their entire roster. But you also don't want to have a roster full of rookies and just people from NXT and LFG. So you want to find that right mix. Some people go to NXT like Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. Some people go directly to the main roster like the Lucha Bros. Aleister Black, Rusev, right? They didn't go to NXT first. They went right to the main roster. So I think that's a good thing. All right. You kind of split it up, break it up a little bit, depending on where you have a need for some of these people. But the thing to be careful of is the more people you sign, other people are going to have to be sacrificed because there's always going to be a limit to how many people they're going to want to have under contract. They're not just going to infinitely sign people. So that's the risk you run. And unfortunately, when you sign 3, 4, 5, 6 people, there's always going to be a cause and effect. And we're seeing that effect right now. We're seeing that in action right before our eyes. I mean, I know this happens almost every year, but we've talked about all the people they've been bringing in or wanting to bring in. this was inevitable, that this was going to happen.
Why was it so volatile? It felt like it anyway online. People made such a big deal about some of these names being let go, and they were more boisterous than I think that they were the last couple of rounds of releases in the last couple of years. Why were they so more angry this year than they were previously? I mean, people should already know to expect this type of thing after WrestleMania. What made them kind of just lose their minds this week?
I don't know what made them lose their minds this time. I mean, they lose their minds over, something different every week.
Shit. Yes, I know.
Yeah, I mean, almost every week. But I think in a lot of cases, especially with like some of the names like a Cora Jade, Dakota Kai, it really rubbed people the wrong way because they have some loyal fans. And I think they just also saw, especially like in someone like Dakota, they just felt that she was wronged in some way. And on some level, they're not wrong when they say that, because we just talked about how she really never got the chance to break out on her own and show whether or not she could, get over at that level and be a star away from Damage Control, away from being part of a group. So I think that was at least part of it. Some people were just mad. They just felt, man, this is bullshit. She should have had the chance to do more, and they just gave up on her, and they're getting rid of her, and they're bringing in all these older people that they used to have under contract instead of, or you have a pay-per-view coming up where you have Pat McAfee wrestling a match, and they're talking about a match with Travis Scott and Bad Bunny on opposing sides, and you fire all these people. What are you doing? So I think people are, they have their own reasons for why they're mad about some of the, the individual names. And then there are just people who are just very upset when you have a company like WWE bragging constantly about how great they're doing, and then they fire 17 people. Is it a bad look? It's the normal course of what they do. This is not the first time they've released people. They've released more people than that.
But the optics of it look equally worse.
Yeah,
because every event, it's like, hey, we made more money than we did last month. Ha ha.
Every time, every week, it's like, oh, we're sold out again. It's our 52nd consecutive sellout. And again, the one that gets me is when they literally on the show will say that we just set the new gate record, and everybody cheers. Yeah. Of course, the reason they set the new gate record is because they're jacking up prices at these at just a ridiculous rate, and people cheer, they clap like seals. So that's the one that always makes me laugh. So yeah, like you said, it's the optics of it. The optics of it are not great, so people get very upset about that.
We will continue to keep an eye on a lot of these talents, guys. It's not the end, and the machine will roll on. And your favorite, like I said on Friday, so many words, if they're going to go out to a TNA or wrestle for a GCW or an MLW or a House of Glory, go out there, buy merch, buy a ticket, support. It's the most you could do. You're not going to change the system. WWE this time next year for WrestleMania next year is going to do the same thing. So the cycle will happen all over again. Go out there and support, and wherever they end up, do your part. That's all I could say. I want to get into this because a lot of people really correlated this news with the releases. We went over this in the sound check. I'm just going to briefly mention this. The AAA report, just to dumb things down here. A lot of it centered around Alberto Del Rio. Now, there were a ton of conflicting reports. He signed with WWE. He didn't. WWE signed a bunch of AAA stars, and they're just turning over their contracts. And then you listen to one guy, and it's just back and forth, and it just became a mess yesterday. So WWE signed several AAA stars. There's a bunch of names here. Del Rio's one of them. Dr. Wagner, Vikingo, La Parka, La Hydra, Lady Flammer, and a couple other names here. Okay, 9 in total. Of this list, Del Rio has WWE main roster experience. I'm sure Vikingo is going to end up on NXT. That's not even a fucking thought in anybody's mind. He's going to end up on the main roster probably. AAA mega champion Alberto Del Rio is a 4-time world champion. Okay,
yeah, he'll end up in NXT when they rename AAA NXT Mexico.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen.
He'll be the lead star there.
Obviously, you know his history of controversies. I'm not going to get into any of that stuff, but the thing was, Jason, a lot of people, again, made a big deal. How could they fire 17 people and then bring Alberto Del Rio back when I said it on social media yesterday? What is everybody losing their fucking shit over? This deal is not even done yet. There was an announcement, and we don't even know what's going to happen with the brand. Obviously, WWE is going to be using these talents. They're going to need talents for AAA. We don't know what's going to happen yet with the brand. We got that Worlds Collide show. Everybody thinks Del Rio is going to end up on the main roster somewhere. He's going to show up on Friday Night SmackDown with fucking Ricardo Rodriguez coming out in the Cadillac. Like, calm down. What did you make of all the discourse online about this?
I didn't make anything about it because there's so many conflicting reports. Like, there's no one consistent report that, yes, he has signed, and if he has signed, what does that mean? Like, of course, everybody in AAA is, at the end of the day, going to have to sign some kind of new deal because there's a new owner in town. And WWE has their own contracts with their own legal language, and so everybody at some point, if they haven't already, is going to have to sign some kind of new deal. Del Rio is their AAA mega champion. He's their champion right now. So he's not going any. It's not like they're just going to just get rid of the guy instantaneously. Like, he's still going to be around AAA at the very least. But to hear people talking about this and freaking out over the last, 24 to 48 hours, you would think the guy is about to be back on SmackDown, or back on Monday Night Raw.
We of all the people here do not want that to happen. Okay, I do not want that to happen.
I have no interest in that happening at all. But yeah, we don't know what we don't know. It's still very early. The deal is not even officially done yet. They even said the deal will not officially close until Q3. The reason this was let's be honest. The reason this was rushed the way it was, AEW just made an announcement that they're running Arena Mexico for the first time on June 18th. And that was a pretty big deal. And then a few days later, this announcement is made. So did they jump the gun? They seem pretty confident the deal is gonna close and it's gonna be done. But yeah, to some degree, it sounds like they jumped the gun because they wanted to get the story out there as quickly as possible. So that's why we found out about it when we did, and they have the Worlds Collide show coming up on June 7th as well. I saw today some WWE talent are going to be appearing at the Triple Mania show. Berto and Angel. I don't know if they announced anybody else for it. So there's going to be a trickle of announcements coming out in the weeks ahead, in the months ahead. Nothing is a done deal. We're not going to see Alberto Del Dipshit back on WWE television imminently or anything like that. Can I say with 100% certainty and conviction that he will never show up again on WWE programming? This is WWE. So no, I can't say that. Do I believe that's going to happen? No, I don't. But I also don't think they're just going to, cut him loose, right away, and that's going to be the end of him. They may cut him loose at some point, months down the road and not want to, do business with him. Because it's, people talk about the stuff with Paige and everything, but he's been involved in other incidents as well. There was an incident just a few months ago where he got suspended, I think, for 6 months from wrestling in one particular city. He got in a fight in a crowd somewhere. So I don't know that they're going to want to continue to do business with him. For now, yes. What that means as far as WWE, we don't know. There's so much inconsistency out there. I'm just kind of backing off until we get some actual confirmation of what we're talking about here. But people are just flipping out right now over nothing. There's nothing to flip out about.
So basically, in so many words, what you're saying is they don't want to make it too blatantly obvious about what they want to do. So they'll just play ball, and then when the time is right, then they'll bring the hammer down.
I don't know that they know what they want to do yet. I don't know that they've thought that far yet. They're still trying to make the overall deal.
Oh my God! So, but why did they fire Cora Jade and sign Del Rio?
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, like we're gonna see Del Rio with the scarf. He's gonna walk out there on SmackDown Friday night with his AAA mega title.
Oh man,
give me a break. Come on.
Guys, just calm down, man. Like Jason said, the fucking deal was just announced. Nobody knows what it's going to... It might not even be AAA for all we fucking know. It just may turn into an NXT developmental system for all we know. But just calm down. I don't expect to see him on WWE TV at all. That would just be ridiculous. So, again, we'll keep an eye on that. And obviously, we'll talk about that when some more news on that deal surfaces. But moving on from that. Let's talk about our good friend Hulk Hogan. Apparently, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, they teased an NWO-like vignette here where they teased the third man. I thought it was going to end up being a podcast of sorts. I was completely off. But now...
there were people who thought it was going to be Vince McMahon. They were going to start their own promotion.
I saw that. I wouldn't be surprised. But it is a promotion. Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff launch Real American Freestyle Wrestling with the Izzy Martinez. And he's a well-established...
Izzy Martinez.
I mean, this is the first time.
Izzy Martinez.
Listen. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no fucking clue who this was.
How can you not know who Izzy Martinez is? What's wrong with you? What are you, out of your mind?
Apparently, he's a well-established figure in combat sports, known for his extensive career coaching freestyle wrestling. His expertise has benefited numerous high-level athletes, including multiple NCAA All-Americans and renowned UFC fighters such as John Jones, Holly Holm, and Yair Rodriguez. Now, this announcement confirms Martinez's involvement alongside Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan on this new endeavor. We'll get into what happened today in just a little bit, but
my favorite part, by the way, before you go any further, my favorite part of that press release that they put out, there was a paragraph in the press release where they said that Hogan and Bischoff are reuniting for the first time in 25 years since the birth of the New World Order revolutionized the wrestling business. So they are completely ignoring their time in TNA together. Now, I can understand them wanting to because it fucking sucked. But the idea that they're reuniting for the first time here in 25 years is just demonstrably false. That is not true.
Well, I think Hulk Hogan and his nickname is demonstrably false.
Demonstrably false is his middle name. That is correct. Yes, but it's too long though, so he doesn't write it out usually. It's too long.
Yeah. Listen, I don't really have anything to add, but how did they suck? I mean, he must be worth a lot of money, Izzy Martinez, correct?
I don't know the guy. You're asking me about the guy's net worth? I didn't even know the fucking guy's name 2 days ago.
What's this guy's net worth, Izzy Martinez? I don't know how
he's going to be the chief operating officer of this whole operation here, by the way, Izzy. So that's going to be his role in this. I'll say this.
How did they sell this to him, though?
Well, it's not even just about selling it to him. They have sponsors and investors here. And what I will say is that anybody dumb enough to put their money behind Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff gets what they deserve. Now think about that. I want you to think about this, okay? This is a freestyle wrestling league. Or I think they're kind of describing it as like professional freestyle wrestling. So what they're trying to do here...
What is that, like collegiate aspect of wrestling?
Collegiate, Olympic, amateur wrestling. And they're trying to kind of bring it into the mainstream, and they're going to add entertainment aspects to it. Okay. Just what Vince McMahon did with the XFL, and that worked out really well. So that's kind of like the idea behind it. But I just want you to just think about the absurdity of Hulk Hogan. I never thought I would have something on this level in common with Hulk Hogan, where I'm the commissioner of House of Glory, and Hulk Hogan is the commissioner. His title is commissioner of this new league. He's basically the public face. He doesn't really have any power, but he's kind of the public face of this league. Hulk Hogan being the commissioner for a freestyle wrestling promotion would be the equivalent of the Goon being the commissioner of the NHL, or Abe Knuckleball Schwartz being the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Okay, I put that about on that same level. It is so preposterous that I can't even believe that there are people putting money behind this.
So what you're telling me is there's not going to be a segment on the Sound Off to review RAF, right?
Oh, I mean, I may check out the first one, just out of curiosity, but I would imagine it's going to be, a bunch of, amateur and collegiate wrestling related segments and spotlights on some of the key athletes. If that was all that it was, I'm sure there's an audience for that. I don't know how big that audience is. And that's the thing, like Hogan's going around doing all this media talking about how these athletes are going to make 7 figures and stuff, which I don't know where he's pulling that out of. No one is making 7 figures, except maybe Hogan. Nobody is making 7 figures here if like you're some of these young athletes, unless they have a huge media rights deal like WWE has and UFC has. If you have like that kind of money coming in, that changes the game. I don't see that happening here, but he's going out there and saying all these things. He made the comment, he goes, I see this one day being on the same level or bigger than WWE and UFC. And I just thought to myself, for his sake, I hope they don't drug test the commissioner, because if they do, he's not going to last very long in that role. I know he has to talk it up, but there's also a line that you probably shouldn't cross as far as the hyperbole is concerned. But Hulk Hogan is the face of a freestyle, like amateur wrestling league.
I'm just thinking about the seven figures. I mean, he must be selling a lot of beer, huh?
Well, of course. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Real American Beer is the title sponsor.
Oh, well, gee. I'm shocked.
Real American Freestyle Wrestling. So there's going to be plenty of beer promotion going on.
Real American Beer and Real American Freestyle Pro Wrestling. Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
He was on TMZ promoting this new promotion, RAF. And Hogan mentioned wrestlers who transitioned from amateur to pro wrestling. Jason's already said laughing. He cited Benjamin Shelton. All these different guys that I've had the opportunity to see adapt to our business. Hogan
wait. You skipped over the other thing that he said. So, we talk about the Hogan.
I didn't have this thing in the notes. I have to hear this.
We talk about the Hogan tall tales, and he was on TMZ, and this is actually not the first time that he has said this. He said this a couple of years ago on Joe Rogan's show, but he's talking about, brother, I was Brock Lesnar's first opponent when he left the UFC and he came back to WWE, brother, and it's like. So again, not the first time he has said this. And again, we talk about just demonstrably false. He has repeated this. This is not like he misspoke and he was thinking about, 2002 when he wrestled Brock Lesnar. And I get very irritated because there are people who say, well, he's old. So, he's forgetful. Come on, he's 70 something years old. And so, or maybe it's the CTE. And I get irritated because to believe that this is strictly an age thing is to ignore the fact that he has been spewing bullshit like this for at least 30 years. Like, this is not something that just started 10 or 15 years ago.
Is it a disease? Like, what? Why?
I think he's just a pathological liar. I think part of it also is he lives the gimmick. Like, I don't know where Hulk Hogan ends and Terry Bollea begins. So I think that's part of it also. I don't know if he honestly believes what he's saying or if he's fully aware of the fact that, it's just all nonsense and BS. But you can't just ascribe it to the fact that he's old. Yeah, he is fucking old, but he's been doing this for so long. He was doing this when he was a lot younger. So don't blame it just on the man's age. He lies. If he's breathing and his lips are moving, he's lying. The only truth that I heard out of his mouth, and I have to say, the one time he told the truth last week, he was asked about John Cena's heel turn. And I actually thought the answer he gave was actually very truthful, where he was like, he watched the Elimination Chamber, The Rock gave the cutthroat symbol, and he was like, when we were doing the NWO stuff, after we did that initial formation, we were out there, we were killing it, we were beating up all the baby faces. And he's like, I thought that was going to happen with Rock and Cena, and then it didn't happen, and they kind of lost me. And I said, you know what? That's the first honest thing I've heard him say in a very long time. I agree with him on that.
Well, what did you expect him to say? He's got the greatest heel turn of all time. He's not going to shy away from that.
Well, of course, he's got to protect that at all costs. Oh, even The Rock said that, though, when he was on Pat McAfee's show, right? He said, he basically said the Cena one was number 2, but the Hogan one is number 1. But no, I mean, so yet another Hogan lie in a very long list of lies that he has told, where he wants people to believe that he was Brock's first, after Brock came back to the company. But yeah, this he was trying to promote his freestyle wrestling league and citing Brock Lesnar, who was NCAA champion. Kurt Angle was an Olympic gold medalist, and then Benjamin Shelton. And what a great amateur wrestler he was. Now, he said this twice. He said it on Pat McAfee's show. And then he said it again on TMZ. And MVP's comment was the first. I guess Shelton commented first, but I saw MVP's comment first, and I read this to you, during the sound check. But MVP, this is all MVP said in regards to Hogan making the comment about Benjamin Shelton on Pat McAfee's show. He said he called Hogan a pathological lying piece of human excrement. Period. Wow. So that was MVP's comment. And then Benjamin Shelton decided to chime in. Or whoever the hell, I don't know who that is, but Shelton Benjamin decided to chime in.
Benjamin did say, and I quote, you lost me forever with your don't get caught or as you would call it, apology speech. So rather than screw up my name and pretend we never had any sort of camaraderie, which we never had, please do me a favor and keep my name out of your fucking mouth.
Well, he used the
he used the Will Smith gif, yes.
The Will Smith meme, yes, from the Oscars towards Chris Rock. Yes.
So would that make Benjamin Shelton the standard of gold?
I guess
the gold of standard. which one is it?
No, the standard. The standard of gold. Standard of yes, the standard of gold.
And he wrestles for WEA.
WEA. That's right. Yes.
Everything's just gonna be back. How much chat are they gonna bring this up on fucking Dynamite tomorrow night?
I can't wait to see the Syndicate of Hurt tomorrow night on Dynamite with Lashley Bobby. I cannot wait. But you know what?
MJF's gonna have a fucking field day with this tomorrow.
Well, no, we have to wait until FJM comes out to confront the Syndicate of Hurt on Dynamite tomorrow night. See what FJM has to say about this whole situation.
Oh my god, man! This Hogan, man, just absolutely hilarious, man, in the worst possible way, every single time.
Maybe Hogan is known for speaking carny. And maybe I don't know. Maybe this was kind of like his way of speaking carny. One of the more famous things he ever said in speaking carny was on one of the Jailhouse tapes with his son many years ago when he made a comment to the effect of, let's hope we don't get reincarnated as a couple of Blizzak guys. So who knows? I'm sure Shelton Benjamin and MVP and all these fine folks have good reason not to like Hulk Hogan. But what he was referring to there in that tweet when he mentioned the speech, because some people may not know what he's talking about there. When Hogan was reinstated and was brought back after the whole racism situation first blew up, which I think was, I want to say 2015 when that happened. And it was 2018. And they reinstated him into the Hall of Fame and they brought him in and they wanted him to speak with all of the African-American talent. And he said, no, I want to speak to all the talent. So I don't remember what show it was. He was backstage at one of the shows, and it was reported at the time that it wasn't so much him showing up and apologizing for anything he said. There was more of an emphasis on him warning the roster about we live in an era of cameras and you got to be very careful what you say because it could be recorded, without your knowledge and without your consent. And there were some people who heard that and said, okay, he's more interested in basically saying, hey, I got caught. And so be careful. You might get caught too, which is not exactly an apology. And I think even, was it Titus O'Neil, I think made a comment at the time saying that, he thought the apology lacked contrition and it wasn't really genuine.
I think the New Day said something along those lines too. Right?
Yeah. The New Day is not a fan of his either. So that's what he was referring to. I guess Benjamin Shelton he may have been backstage for that speech as well. But good on him, for letting Hogan know, hey, that's not my fucking name. And don't act like you and me have any sort of camaraderie or friendship here or mutual admiration society, because clearly he doesn't think very highly of the Hulkster.
Did you get a wind of what he said in regards to Toni Storm, Hulk Hogan?
He said he was a big fan of hers.
Yes.
I don't have the exact quote, but I know he claimed that, first of all, there's no way that Hulk Hogan is sitting down in front of his television watching AAW Dynamite every week. So I'm sure.
Well, I have the quote here. He's like, look, I'm happy for Tony Khan and the people that work at AEW. Legitimately, it's hard. Tony's putting up his own money. He's earned his way to be able to say that he outlasted Nitro. That's Bischoff who said that. Hogan goes on to say, well, I don't know Tony Khan. I got nothing but respect for what he's done and how he's pushed and created opportunities for these guys. I started watching some of those girls grind out there, and I've never seen people work so hard in my life. Some of the girls, some of the bloodbaths and stuff I've seen is really cool stuff, but I like the grit and the real aggressive stuff. And then he goes on to mention Toni Storm. He says, bro, I was like all over the place until I watched that Toni Storm, bro. When I saw her start grinding out there and digging, and when I saw her gaff through her hairline, when she pulled that blade through her hairline and she needed like 10 staples, I went, holy crap, this girl ain't playing. And the girl she was wrestling, I can't remember her name, Mariah May, yeah, bro. she was grinding too, man. And I'm telling you, these girls, I would not want to be in that match with them. They were playing hardball.
Well, of course, Hogan would not want to be in the ring with them. When did Hogan wrestle a fucking hardcore match? I think he would.
When did Hogan have staples fucking put in his head?
Yeah, when did Hogan ever wrap his hands in tape and dip them in fucking glass? Like, come on now.
Oh, man.
I mean, so someone showed him, obviously, video of the Hollywood ending match from Revolution, which I guarantee he was not watching that pay-per-view, but he got wind of it. And, you know, he every now and then he'll do that. Look, there was a period of time where Hogan was really putting over Kevin Owens. And then, you know, Kevin Owens went on to become a pretty big star in WWE. And occasionally when it comes up, he'll take credit like, oh, I was the first one to, you know, point out this Kevin Owens guy. I was a big fan of his. I'm like, you're so full of shit. You are so full of fucking shit. Like, Hulk Hogan's a Kevin Owens fan. Like, give me a fucking break. If this was like fucking 30 years ago, by the way, you know, Hogan in the ring with Kevin Owens, like, how long do you think that match would have gone?
30 years ago.
Yeah. If he would have even agreed to wrestle Kevin Owens, how long do you think that match would have gone?
Less than 5 minutes.
You're being very generous. You're being very generous. But all of a sudden, he's a big Kevin Owens guy. Okay.
Yeah, the Hulkster, man. We're going to hear more about RAF, and we'll have some more laughs on TNT. So we'll keep you guys updated on that.
I discovered that Kevin Owens dude, brother.
Yeah. We'll keep it with the AEW thing. We got some AEW news this week. Some pretty cool news, actually. 2300 Arena in Philadelphia to host AEW residency this August going into September. So this is pretty cool stuff. AEW will be hosting several weeks of television at the ECW Arena, now 2300 Arena, multi-week residency of Dynamite, Collision, and Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor. So it's looking like this, Jason. We got Dynamite on the 27th of August, Saturday Collision, August 30th, Dynamite again the following week, September 3rd, Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor Friday, September 5th, then Collision September 6th, Dynamite again the following week after that, September 10th, and then a special taping of Collision, which would be September 11th, that Thursday. So they are doing the whole residency thing again. I know Bischoff said it's a cool thing. It's a great thing, but very risky. I know they did this last year, and I thought it looked great. I thought the smaller venue looked great. I think they did a Ring of Honor show there as well from the Esports Arena in Texas.
Yes, in Arlington.
Yeah,
and the atmosphere was great.
Yeah, I like the smaller venue, and this is the ECW Arena, so it's going to be even more exciting. I actually love that AEW does this because it just gives them their own vibe. It gives them their own feel. You know where they're going to be based out of. It's easier for fans to get there. And, you know, Tony loves ECW. I mean, Tony's an ECW fanatic, so you know he's going to pull out an ace up his sleeve and do something fucking ridiculous during one of these shows. I think that's really cool, really awesome. I'm excited to see that because there's no better place than the ECW Arena.
I really hope they don't, and he probably will because he was a big ECW fan. He even said, like, he used to go to the arena with his dad. He hasn't been back there since. I just hope it's not like what WWE did, because WWE did an ECW like nostalgia show from the 2300 Arena. I actually covered it live on YouTube. What a fucking mistake that was.
Me too. It was fucking awful. What a terrible show.
It was a terrible show. And so I really hope they don't lean too heavily into the nostalgia element. You know, you can incorporate a little bit of that, but you know, do your own thing, make it your own, pay homage, you know, to the history there if you want to. But just the way WWE chose to do it, I thought was really very lame. And hopefully that's not what they do.
No. If you guys go on social media, I think the official AEW X account and Taz put something on their social media where they did just a nice video package and Taz narrated it. Obviously, Taz, one of the OGs for ECW back in the day. Excellent video package. Go check that out. So that's coming this summer for AEW. So that's going to be cool. I know you and I covered Dynamite on Wednesday, Jason. Is there anything before we get into Monday night and Backlash that you want to add from Dynamite? I know I ended my stream, and I always go to look to see what everybody else is doing. And when I seen this guy end his stream in 1 hour and 17 minutes, I'm like, holy shit, man, what happened over there? Like, I knew the show was just like, where the fuck is the story? But I didn't think it was that bad. When this guy goes 1 hour and 17 minutes, you know it's a bad week, man.
I reviewed the show and it was just like, I got nothing else to say. Like, hey.
And listen, it wasn't a bad show. That main event was tremendous with Hangman and Kyle Fletcher. But outside that, bro, what happened on the show?
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, hey, it's an early night tonight, I guess. But you mentioned, is there anything I want to mention? I was going to mention that main event because that main event was excellent. It was Hangman Page and Kyle Fletcher semifinal match in the Owen Hart tournament. That was a great main event. And we have what I think is the best possible option for a final. And we know, and it's really the only thing we know as far as Double or Nothing. And I know Double or Nothing is still, 3.5 weeks away or something. There's still time, but we don't know anything else at this point. We assume there'll be an Anarchy in the Arena match. The only thing we know are the 2 Owen Hart finals. We know that it's going to be Hangman and Will Ospreay, which could go either way. I'm still in the camp of Ospreay winning. I think that's what happens, but you don't really have a bad option there. No matter who you go with, the winner will go on to challenge and hopefully beat Jon Moxley in Texas at All In. On the women's side, you've got Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter, which also, first time ever match, should be a very good match. Personally, I'm hoping that Jamie Hayter gets the win and they find a way to circle back to the Mercedes and the Athena stuff, which was unresolved. But boy, where did Athena go? Athena has disappeared over the last few weeks. So I'm not fully convinced that they are going to go back to it. I hope they do. I'm not terribly optimistic that they will. But as far as the matches themselves, you've got 2 excellent final matches in these tournaments, which I think is great. So that was the best part of the show for me anyway. It was the best part of the show on Wednesday. I got a kick out of, Mercedes did a sit-down interview with Renee, and I think she was talking about how she doesn't think that there should be. She was making fun of Jamie Hayter looking like Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And we don't need a cartoon character as the AEW Women's World Champion. And then when she came out, when did she come? She came out after someone's Tony's match with Miyu Yamashita.
Yeah.
So Mercedes came out on stage, and then Jamie Hayter came out and kind of attacked her, and then Mercedes went running like she was on fire. Like it was this cartoonish, comedic way she went running off, and I'm like, okay, she's talking about how we don't need a cartoon character as the world champion, but she was a complete cartoon character the way she ran off. I was kind of amused by that. I'm looking forward to the matches. I think both of them, regardless of the outcome, are going to be great. Whatever you think of Mercedes booking, and there's been a lot made of that, the matches, by and large, that she has are very good. And Jamie Hayter is very good. And I'm hopeful that Jamie Hayter is finally, getting back to the point that she was at previous to her injury. Because it hasn't happened yet. And she's been back since was it August? Right? She came back at Wembley.
Yeah, All In, yes.
Yeah, and she hasn't really done a whole lot of anything since then. So it finally feels like she's getting back to that point. I would hate to see that momentum stalled out. I have to mention one more thing about Mercedes. I don't know if you noticed, there was a fan online who created his own mini Mercedes puppet.
I saw that.
Yeah, and so it was very cool. And he's got some leftover material, I guess. And so he's talked about how he may make more of them and then donate the money that he makes from it to whatever, charity of Mercedes and Harley Cameron, whatever they choose, which is a very cool idea. But I sat here and I said, why is there a random fan making these dolls online when AW should have jumped on that months ago? You know how much money they could have made off those things? Like, look at the money WWE has made off that fucking Lily doll, to the point where Alexa Bliss was gone 2 years and came back and still had that stupid doll because they sell so many of them. It's like, is this not a fumble by the AEW merch department on this?
A true prophet once said, these guys don't want me here. This isn't a real business. This isn't a real business predicated on making money, drunk money, selling tickets.
Well, profit is what they will not turn when they make decisions like this. So, because it just seems like a slam dunk to me, and they haven't done it. So maybe they haven't found a cost-effective way to make the dolls, but I would have thought that
how
would have been
ridiculous is that? They would have fucking made bank with that, and now nicely, he's going to donate the profits to a charity of either Mercedes or Harley's choosing, which is great. But I mean, what a fucking fumble, man.
It's being outsourced to random fans online. I just can't understand that.
I agree with you in regards to the main event. I love Hangman. I think he's probably top 2, top 3 all-time favorite characters on AEW television. His match with Fletcher was great. Loved the final with Ospreay and Hangman. It really offers, for the first time in the tournament, some true unpredictability. And, Tony has this problem where he kind of makes the first half of the tournament very predictable, and then when we get to the finals, he does a nice job of leaving the end to be unpredictable. I'm going Ospreay. I think Paige and Swerve will actually end up teaming up at All In against the Bucks. I don't really know how else you book Paige going into the biggest show of the year with Swerve. Right now, Swerve doesn't have anything going on. As far as
it looks like they're doing another one of these All-Star matches tomorrow. And it's almost like a carbon copy of what we saw last week, except this time Swerve's in it.
Wait, but they announced another All-Star multi-man match?
I don't know if they're calling it All-Star, but did you see the match that was added to the show?
No.
Yeah, let me see if I can bring it up right now.
Did you see he did another $100,000 pot match on Saturday night?
No, I didn't see it. Wait, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, Roosh was in it.
This past Saturday?
I think Kevin Knight was in it, yeah. Sammy Guevara was in it.
Only 100,000?
Only 100,000.
It's terrible.
It's getting cheap.
How do you go from 400,000 to 100,000?
I have no idea.
Okay, so this is what has been announced for tomorrow night. It's going to be Ricochet and the Young Bucks against Swerve Strickland, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Mark Briscoe. So
basically, it's the same fucking match as last week.
Yeah, only Kenny Omega and Okada are not in it. So it's the same basic match that they're just running back this week, but with Swerve in it.
Jason's gonna go 1 hour and 18 minutes tomorrow night.
I may not even go the full hour tomorrow night.
Oh man, that I don't know what goes through his head, man. I really don't. No words. As far as the ladies, Mercedes, Jamie Hayter, Jesse and I talk about this every Wednesday. Until Mercedes actually loses, I'm not going to believe it. When we discuss it here, she should lose. She has to lose. It should be Jamie Hayter. I'm not going to believe it until I physically see Mercedes take a 1, 2, 3. Jamie Hayter should win. I think Athena being a ghost since she lost that semifinal match to Mercedes is not a good way for her. That would be great if Hayter wins because of Athena and we get Athena and Mercedes at All In and then Jamie versus Tony. But they have done the Mercedes and Tony Storm, tit for tat back and forth. It's like they're teasing you with it. And I don't really see Tony Khan not doing it. So I think he's all in on this match. I don't know exactly what it's going to mean and what it's going to do for the division, but if Mercedes and Tony end up being the match at All In, Jason, I mean, there's no other way to even think but Mercedes becoming Mercedes 5 belts. What's going to happen?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I really hope that match doesn't happen. I just don't. What's the benefit in that?
Nothing.
And let's say she goes to All In and wins. Okay, she's got 5 belts now. Then what?
She drops the TBS title.
She drops the TBS title after she wins the AEW World Championship. What sense does that make?
It makes no sense. I'm just telling you exactly what they're probably going to do.
No. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So it was the reason why I thought it was ridiculous when Stephanie beat Julia, and I thought that they would, the very next week they would announce that she was forfeiting the North American title, and instead she defended it. She defended both belts in the same night, and then the next week they had her vacate the North American title. That didn't make any sense to me either.
No,
but this would make even less sense. So that's the main reason I'm hoping that. Look, as a match, sure, it'd be a great match. But it doesn't make any sense to me when you have these other women. Like, where do you even plug in any other woman on the show where it matters?
I don't know.
What other women's match do you do on the show?
You don't. They're only going to give you one.
Well, that's stupid.
It is stupid. I agree with you wholeheartely.
I don't think they're going to do that.
They got 3 weeks till Double or Nothing. There's not any other matches but these 2 matches announced. I'm sure, like Jason said, we're going to get an Anarchy in the arena. I love your idea of FTR and the Hurt Syndicate and then winning the tag team titles and then going on to All In defending against Cope and Christian. I think FTR and Hurt Syndicate are going to be a match announced for Double or Nothing. It should be. Christian and what and who? I mean,
even Christian though. Like we're talking about Cope and Christian, and I have to imagine for their big Arlington show, that probably is the direction. But the direction right now on television, if you watch these shows week to week, is Christian and Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
Where does Copeland fit in?
Well, I have no idea. I don't know. What else is going to happen at that show? We're going to get Ricochet and Kevin Knight as a match one-on-one. That seemingly looks like what they're building up to.
Well, Double or Nothing, not Texas.
No, Double or Nothing, yeah.
Yeah, Double or Nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Mercedes thing, they've almost put themselves in a no-win situation here, because if she goes in there and lose, which I think she should, lose to Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter just handed Mercedes her first loss. Would it not make more sense then for her to be next up to challenge for the TBS title? Because she just beat the TBS champion. But instead, she's going right for the world title. So that's a little weird. So if you have Mercedes win, then we're getting champion against champion, title for title. And I really don't like that idea, because I just feel like it kind of screws over all the other women on the roster.
Maybe we should ask Mercedes about it. I mean, it only costs $99.99 to ask her a question via text.
Well, that's true. Are we sure it's Mercedes though, or is it a bot? I'm not sure.
I'm sure it's an AI generated response. Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you see Becky's joke that she cracked?
I did. I mean,
that was actually quite good.
Yes.
She almost fumbled it too. I think she was so nervous about making sure she stuck the landing on the joke that she almost fumbled it. But when she said it and cracked up Sam Roberts and Sam Roberts and Megan Moran,
Yeah.
she almost cracked. When they started laughing, she almost cracked.
Your money would be better spent on Cora Jade, $14.99, folks. That's all I have to say there. ECW. Speaking of ECW, I don't know if you've seen this, Jason. Rhino is going to be making his AEW debut on Dynamite on May 7th and live on Collision Thursday. By the way, there is a Collision Thursday because of the NBA playoffs. Both shows come our way from Detroit and will also include a Ring of Honor.
Is that this week or next week?
This week, yeah, tomorrow and Thursday.
I'll be sleeping.
Yes, Thursday's my day off too. Detroit.
I have to go to bed early on Thursday.
Yes. House of Glory on Friday. Yes,
I have a very big travel day very early on Friday.
Yes.
So
Detroit is actually the home of Rhino, who wrestled for us at House of Glory. He did very well. We got to call the gore, which is always great to see. He will be the Man Beast will be on AEW. They tweeted out Man Beast Rhino will appear live in Detroit at the Masonic Temple Theater on Wednesday, 5/7 and 5/8. So there you go. If you guys are Rhino fans, tune into Dynamite tomorrow with that All-Star 10 what are they, 6-man tag, and what else is happening? What's the main event of tomorrow's show? Anything? What do we get?
Let's see. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking for that right now. Well, we know we'll hear from Will Ospreay.
Oh, the main event is the steel cage match. That's right, Moxley and Joe.
Not this week. No, that's next week.
Next week. Okay.
So here we go. We have a AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator 4-way.
What is with these Eliminator matches, man? Why?
With Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay.
What the fuck do they have to do with Toni Storm?
So that is officially added to the show. This was just posted about half an hour ago. Hangman Adam Page will appear live. Jamie Hayter will have a sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. And then the trios match that I mentioned. Speedball, Swerve, and Briscoe against the Bucks and Ricochet.
Yeah, this guy's definitely going 45 minutes tomorrow. No doubt about it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Oh man, I don't know what is going on there in Jacksonville, man, but they need to inject some. And I'm sure MJF and the Hurt Syndicate will be on the show tomorrow too, as they follow.
I would imagine, yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the best thing on the show. Honestly, it's the only thing resembling a fucking story over there. They need some story there, bro. I don't know what they got to do, man. We need some stories coming out on Wednesday.
I would imagine, I mean, if Toni Storm is in this 4-way match, because I was thinking I just said, like, the only matches that we know of for Double or Nothing are the 2 Owen finals. So, like, what does Toni Storm do then on that show? Maybe this is their way of setting up her challenger. She doesn't have to get pinned, but somebody wins that 4-way. And if so, then who is it? Thunder Rosa?
Didn't we see that already, though?
I feel like
we've seen that in her first run.
No, but I thought maybe more recently than that. I don't know. So you got Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay. Is it one of them winning the match and getting the title shot at Double or Nothing?
They'll probably go with Penelope Ford, to be honest with you.
They probably will, but they got to have somebody. She needs something, right? Somebody to work with.
Now, what happened to Double or Nothing, man? It used to be their flagship show, and now it's resorted to this. What is this?
Didn't she wrestle Lady Frost on Saturday in another Eliminator match?
Tony did, yeah, in Atlantic City, yeah. And then she went out to the boardwalk and did her number out there.
That's right.
I don't know, man. Something needs to happen on Wednesdays. I don't know what's going on. That Dynamite that we got from Boston, which was fucking unbelievable. It seems like fucking eons ago. What's going on over there?
One of the best Dynamites they ever did. Not just of the year, just like one of the best, most enjoyable episodes of Dynamite. It had like a different vibe, like a different energy to it.
You'd never know.
And the building was great. The building that they were in. I don't know where they are tomorrow night.
The Masonic Temple in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, they're at the Masonic Temple. It's an interesting name.
I know. Well, that'll get the conspiracy theorists running wild, I'm sure.
I mean, I used to enjoy Lucha Underground was at the temple.
I know.
Like that was like
that was
holy ground.
That was a cool fucking temple, though.
That was a very cool temple. So I don't know. We'll see how this temple is.
Yes, that's AEW, the AEW portion of the show. Jason and I will obviously be live on our respective channels tomorrow with the Dynamite recap. It doesn't look like much of a show from what we're hearing, but we'll cover it there nonetheless.
Yeah, next week is the steel cage match because of course we have to keep people out of the cage. That's what cages are supposed to do. And in wrestling, if you have a steel cage, we all know ain't nobody getting in. It's going to be Samoa Joe against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title.
Do you foresee a Hook heel turn?
I mean, I talked about, remember I brought that up a few weeks ago. Yeah. I said, I wonder if that's the play here. You know, they're going to, even Taz, the comments he's made on commentary, like Hook's getting better and he'll be back to take care of business. You know, he'll be back to like, just what does that mean? You know? And I thought maybe it's a situation where if they wanted to turn him heel, that's the way to do it. He cost Joe, and it could be more out of just jealousy. Like, you just replaced me so easily with Hobbs, and, you know, he's in the spot that I was in. I'm almost forgotten about here. That could be the story behind it. I'm going to say, yeah, I think he does play a role in the finish of that match because we know Joe's not winning. So how do they do the finish then? You know, he's not going to get beat clean. So
no, it's gonna end in chaos, and like you know, we both said
Wheeler Yuta just runs in and delivers a Busaiku knee, and that's it. DQ.
It's gonna end up being a anarchy in the arena match, and something on the 14th is gonna resemble that for sure.
Well, I'm still waiting to see. It still has not been clarified if next week is a 4-hour show, or if it's being. Oh, God. Yes, I know. Or if it's being split up. Again, my understanding is a 4-hour block all in one night. But I haven't seen that confirmed yet by AEW, so we'll find out tomorrow night because they're going to have to let us know. I would imagine they would mention that.
Did you see the tickets out for this Hoffman Estates Now Arena show next week?
No.
It's pretty bad. 2,869 tickets distributed according to WrestleTix. They've only set up for 3,400. They were filling 10,000 seats in that place, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where they used to do All Out.
Yeah.
And they would not. Now, again, it's All Out as opposed to this is a Dynamite. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to WrestleTix, they do give you last year's statistics. Like the Collision last year that they did on 9/6/24, 2,700 out. All Out did 8,600. So, I mean, for a pay-per-view, they always draw near capacity. But for a show that is so synonymous, or a venue, I should say, that's so synonymous with AEW, less than 3,000 people. I mean, that's how do you look at that? But any other way but disappointment? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great number. I'm not even sure they're running there for All Out this year. There was talk that maybe they would actually get out of Chicago for All Out in September and go somewhere else.
It's smart.
So yeah.
And with the residency, they didn't list, I mean, unless All Out's in Philadelphia, I mean, they have all those shows through the beginning of September, which is usually All Out. They usually have it Labor Day weekend. No mention of All Out. So, like Jason said, there may be a possible move for All Out to a different city.
Yeah, a different city and a different date. I think the talk was not only a different city, but maybe moving it to like mid-September.
Yeah, that's smart. I think that's a good move for them. But yeah, that's Dynamite tomorrow. And then obviously the steel cage match with Moxley and Samoa Joe on the 14th from the Hoffman Estates in Schaumburg, Illinois. We will get into Monday Night Raw and then Backlash, and then we'll get the hell out of here and read your super chats. But Monday night, Jason, Monday Night Raw, I thought last night was a tremendous show for WWE standards as far as what we've been given on Monday night. I said it on social media. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't think so. I honestly have enjoyed the last 3 weeks of Monday Night Raw more than any other consecutive weeks of television, even during WrestleMania season. I think what they're producing right now, it's not great. It's not like, oh my God, I can't miss Monday Night Raw, but they are producing very solid television. And coming out of that Raw after Mania into last week's show and then into this week's show on Monday, I think they're hitting like a nice string of momentum here.
Well, what I was happy with is, when you get these go-home shows, and I mean, technically that's Friday, but this was the final Raw before Backlash. This is not also a Backlash card that is one of their better PLE lineups.
Yeah.
So on a go-home show, my expectations are usually not that high because the goal should be to get people excited and interested in the PLE that weekend. I was not expecting to come into Raw and get the announcement that we were going to have Jey Uso's first defense of the World Heavyweight Championship. I had just assumed that Jey Uso and Logan Paul was going to be made official for Backlash. So the biggest surprise to me was that they didn't announce that match at all. And we're not even getting a World Heavyweight title match on the show, which is fine because we know it's not closing the show. We know it's closing the show. And it's not going to be for the World Heavyweight title. So I think as far as just as a standalone show, I thought it was very good. As a go-home show, it was one of the better ones they've done in a very long time. It was a fun show. And that main event with Seth Rollins and Jey Uso turned into a hell of a match, with some near falls there were a couple near falls in there that were actually very believable that I think people were biting on. There was one point in the match where Sami Zayn came out towards the end. And then they did a near fall that felt like it was going to be the finish, and then it wasn't. And it's like, oh shit, like where is this going? And then of course, CM Punk made his grand return. So it was a newsworthy show. The return of CM Punk, you would think that might be something they say post Backlash. And instead we got that on the show last night. So it didn't feel like, you sat there wasting your time. There was some good stuff on the show. And honestly, I think the best part of the entire show, and this is a match on Saturday that has a lot of people, it's been very polarizing. And I said last week when it was made official that this match right here could be the sleeper match of the night. And that is Gunther and Pat McAfee. They had what I thought was the best segment on the entire show last night.
Yeah, I agree.
Even more so than the main event. Like that segment, if you had to say, okay, on this go-home show, did they do a good enough job of getting you excited for the event this weekend? They did for one match. Even in the Becky and Lyra stuff, that was not bad, but really it was one match, and that was Gunther and Pat McAfee. Those two went out there and they sold that match as good as you could have possibly asked for. And they got me excited, to see what they're going to do in that match, because to me, there's one way that this match should go, and there's a lot of ways this match should not go. And I'm very curious, but, I'm curious what you think, because my thought is Gunther is known as being a great wrestler. I would argue he is he's probably one of the top three in the world right now.
Yeah.
Like he's just a complete performer. And it's very, very, very easy though for him to go in there and have a great wrestling match, right? He can have a great wrestling match with anybody. He could probably have a great wrestling match with you. It's very different for him to go in there with like a non-wrestler. And I know Pat's wrestled a few times, but he's not a wrestler. He's a commentator. Now he's being tasked with going in there and trying to pull a great match out of somebody who's not used to going in there and wrestling and having great matches. And this to me is what will really test him and show you how great he really is. The quality of the match that they go out there and have on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on Gunther and Pat McAfee. Before I get into that, the chat has just now reminded us, breaking news, that Tony Khan, someone convinced me that Tony Khan is not watching this show tonight. He just announced another eliminator for tomorrow. He announced Okada and Kevin Knight in an eliminator match tomorrow night for Dynamite.
So that's two eliminator matches. on the show.
Oh man, listen, it's gonna be a fine match, right? It's Kevin Knight has done very well for himself. Okada is Okada. It's gonna be a great match. Why? Why do I need to watch a match where I know the outcome before it even fucking airs tomorrow night? I don't know.
Well, it'll be another loss for Kevin Knight, but I mean, he's had some, really good matches recently. Look, if Okada has his working shoes on, because sometimes, it doesn't look like he always does, but if he does, then yes, that should be a very good match. But okay, we're getting 2 eliminator matches.
Two eliminator. Now, Jason,
I thought you were going to tell me that it was another 4-way eliminator.
No. Listen, man, they're pushing your stream up from 45 minutes to now 58.
Yeah.
Should be a wild time over there. Let's start with Jey Uso and the Paul Heyman segment. Now, for some reason, I think we all were under the illusion that Jey Uso and Logan Paul was happening at the pay-per-view on Saturday for the World Heavyweight Championship. That is not announced at all. There's no official match announcement. There's no graphic. There's nothing. It's just 5 matches on the show from what I'm seeing here online.
No, it's not happening. It's not happening on Saturday.
So I wonder if there has been a change of plans for a multitude of reasons. I don't mind. I said this last week. I don't mind Logan Paul and Jey Uso going for the World Championship. It was never a match that was going to main event the show anyway. I could see them opening the show. I could see them saving it for Saudi at Night of Champions and just saving it for there because Logan Paul is kind of synonymous with what Saudi wants.
Well, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I was streaming last night and had people telling me what happened after the show.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because Logan Paul attacked him when the show was over. So what I figured the play is, they have Saturday night's main event coming up in a few weeks. And the last one they did in January, Jey Uso main evented that show against Gunther. So my guess would be that's your main event for. Well, actually, I don't want to say main event because John Cena's on that show, but my guess is that they may be saving it for Saturday night's main event.
I could see that. That's another definite possibility. Saudi is also a possibility being in June, but it's more towards the end of June. I think it's like June 26th, somewhere around.
Money in the Bank.
Yeah, Money in the Bank. Do you think that they add? I was hoping for a 6-match card. I mean, with this card, I could easily see max 6 matches. I thought he was going to go and do 6 matches, Triple H. But could you see them having Jey Uso on the show on Saturday with Punk and Zayn, or I guess a mixture of, Sammy and Jey, or Sammy and Punk versus Rollins and Braun Breaker for the show? Do they save that for Saturday night's main event?
On this Saturday?
Yeah.
No. Why would you do that? Just throw it out there?
Tag team match? Yeah, why not?
Why would you do that? Without having any sort of build on TV, you just add it to the show.
How about Rollins and Zayn then?
No.
You're sticking with the 5 matches. That's it.
I mean, if they add a 6th match, I don't see it being that. If it was going to be added, then they had to announce it last night. It's too late now. That's a big enough match. You can't just throw that on the show. It's a little bit different than it would be in AEW. AEW still does pay-per-view. Okay, WWE doesn't do pay-per-view. Triple H has no incentive to take what should be a big match like that and just throw it out there when he can get a television main event out of it or a Saturday night's main event match out of it. So I don't know why you would do that. I think that would be very stupid at this point to just kind of throw that match out there.
They're really risking a lot. I mean, they're really banking on fucking Cena and Orton then, because
but that's what it's about. It's St. Louis. It's John Cena, Randy Orton for the final time. That's the whole hype around the show.
I don't believe
it's going to live or die based on that.
I don't believe we're in a position where fucking Pat McAfee and Gunther is the best built match on this entire show.
Shocking.
What are we doing here, bro? Like, honestly, shocking. I have no problem with it because I said this last night. In both respects, I like the fact that they're integrating Jey into CM Punk and Rollins, tension, and Sammy is out there, and Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman. I like the fact that they sent Paul Heyman out there. I like the fact that we got an impromptu World Championship match for the first time in fucking 9 months, 7 months, whatever it was. I love it because Jey and Logan had no story. And Jey seems like a bigger star because he's mixing it up with Sammy and Punk and Rollins. It just feels so much better for the World Championship. I don't really know where we're going with this Backlash card, where McAfee and Gunther is the fucking star of the fucking show.
Well, you also mentioned doing a tag team match. I figured the play for the big tag team match is Rollins and Braun's Breaker against Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and they do that in Money in the Bank.
I love that, but is Roman coming back to you? In your opinion, is he coming back?
Yes. Well, Punk just came back, and so now in a few weeks, it may take a few weeks, but in a few weeks, you get Roman back. And then it just becomes like, how do you get them on the same page? Because if they're going to be tag team partners, they have to come together in some way. They will ultimately be united by the fact that they were both screwed over by Paul Heyman. So you let it play out for a few weeks, and yeah, you got plenty of time. Roman comes back mid-May. Money in the Bank is June 7th. You do Roman and Punk against Rollins and Breaker, because at SummerSlam, you want to do whatever the matches are. You want to do singles matches. So you're not going to save a tag team match, I don't think, for SummerSlam. Money in the Bank feels like the place to do something like that, and that's... I have to imagine they want Roman back in time for Money in the Bank. I know last year he didn't come back until SummerSlam, but this year I think he's back for Money in the Bank.
Does Rollins win the World Championship before we get to SummerSlam?
I think he wins it at SummerSlam.
I think that's the play too, but what do we do with Roman at SummerSlam if Roman's going to be integrated in this? Because I figured we do Roman and Rollins at SummerSlam. That's why I asked you. Rollins won the World Championship. He defends the title against Roman at SummerSlam.
Roman's not a Raw guy.
He's a free agent. He goes wherever he wants.
Has that been confirmed?
Yes.
I thought he was on the SmackDown roster.
I heard he was an unsigned free agent.
Okay. I didn't hear that, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm just thinking, I like the idea of that tag team match taking place at Money in the Bank, because I mean that's just a big match, and we've seen that done before with the Bloodline. So I agree.
If you do Roman and Rollins at SummerSlam, okay, Rollins pinned Roman at WrestleMania. If the idea is to get the World Heavyweight Championship soon, like in the next few months on Rollins, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do Roman and Rollins at SummerSlam and have Roman beat him and get that win back. So what's the play here? You're going to do Roman and Rollins and have Rollins beat him again?
Sure. Why not?
I don't see that happening. Not saying that would be a terrible idea. I don't see them doing that, though. So I still think the play is for him to get the world title at SummerSlam. What Roman does then, I don't know, but we could always get Roman and Punk.
We could.
We still haven't gotten that one-on-one. They could be partners at Money in the Bank, and then things break down, and we get Roman against Punk at SummerSlam.
We could. It's going to be very interesting to see develop. I like all these major names kind of intertwined with each other. That's why I said I like that Jey Uso was, out there confronted by Paul Heyman. We got an impromptu world championship match. Just him mixing it up with the big guns is it's just going to make everybody look good. It's going to make the world championship look good. I also like the fact that they kind of put the brakes on the Logan Paul thing, because I do feel like it just came out of left field. And I do think Triple H really adheres to the social media opinion, even though he says he doesn't. And there was no story behind that. And like Jason said, Saturday night's main event, he's got a book for that. And then Saudi, that's also a possibility there. So I'm glad that they kind of pulled back on that. The show itself on Saturday, we'll get into. I love the opening segment. As far as McAfee, going back to that, and Gunther, with this, I said last night, because I thought there was going to be 6 matches on the show. With 6 matches, this looks a little bit more even, with this match being taken up by a commentator. Now that there's 5 matches, I'm going back to my original opinion, even though the build has been great. They've sold the shit out of this. I think this is the best book match on the show. And what you said, Gunther could wrestle a fucking Victoria's Secret mannequin in the window and bring it to a 4-star match. He is going to do everything that is unlike a Gunther match, in my opinion. I do think that he used words last night like, by the grace of God, it's only God is going to pull him off of him and choke him out.
No, you butcher the best line of the entire promo. He said,
I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
This is how he ended it. He said, tonight, by his grace, Pat is untouchable, right? Because they couldn't touch each other. There was no physicality last night. So he said, by his grace, Pat is untouchable. But on Saturday, only the grace of God can lift his hands from around this man's throat.
Yes, him using statements like that. I think we're gonna see a Gunther that's not the ring general. I think we're gonna see a little bit more of a maniacal, brutal Gunther. And I do think that plays into the story. I do think Pat's going to get some offense, but I'm not here to see Pat fucking, attempt a body slam on Gunther or an arm drag or whatever. I think this is going to be a couple of chops, couple of kicks, couple of punches, and Gunther's going to take care of him in 5 minutes. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I would love to see a brutalizing of Pat McAfee here, write him off TV, and then obviously we discussed this Goldberg is the end goal here.
Yeah, well, I kind of joked last night on my stream. I said they should have Corey Graves sit in for commentary on this match because he would laugh his ass off every chop to McAfee. He'd be fucking laughing his ass off. So I don't know if the idea is to get Pat off of television. Although, if Gunther brutalizes him, he really shouldn't just pop up on TV 48 hours later. They'll probably just slot Wade Barrett in there or somebody, but. This match should be 5 minutes. I could see it pushing something like 7 or 8 if maybe Gunther is kind of playing with him, like a cat playing with a bird. And McAfee, he'll get some hope spots. The people like him. He's likable to this audience, so I think they'll get behind him when they think there's some, momentum building, and then Gunther will just kind of cut him off at the knees and then put him down. And I do think that this is just step one. Why is this happening? Why are they doing this? I think this is step one to what eventually gets us to Gunther and Goldberg. I think he's going to be Goldberg's retirement match, whether it's SummerSlam or Saudi or whenever it may be. This story will eventually lead to one former NFL guy, bringing in another former NFL guy. They share that in common. And that's how we get to Gunther and Goldberg. So that's why I think we're getting this right now. But Pat, one thing he's very, very good at, he cuts a great promo.
He does.
And I said he basically relates to the audience because he speaks like the everyman. If the everyman, of course, made $30 million a year like he does. But it's the way that he delivers, his lines. Like he comes across as very genuine and believable. And then for his part, Gunther, who was never known as like the best promo guy, I thought he knocked it out of the park too. So both guys delivered, and this is why the segment was very effective. Now they just have to go out and deliver a match that doesn't marginalize Gunther, who shouldn't go in there and have too much difficulty with this guy. But you got to give McAfee, you can't just have it be a total squash. Like they're going to want to give McAfee a little bit. It could just be a very straightforward finish. I don't know that we're going to see Goldberg. Here's the one thing I fear. What I don't want to see is that we have Goldberg appear on Saturday and cost Gunther the match.
Oh, no.
Now, that would be horrendous.
I don't want to see that at all.
Yes, no, that would be terrible. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I don't think we're going to see him that soon. But yeah, this is just step one in that process.
Did you catch wind of what Tommy Dreamer said about Pat McAfee's promo last week? Calling it a top 20 Raw promo of all time.
This is okay. So this God,
I had to bring it up, man. It's sitting right here.
So I guess this is the new Tommy Dreamer thing, where everything is just the greatest thing of all time. Remember, he mentioned the cage match that Punk and Rollins had at Madison Square Garden. Find me a better cage match in wrestling history. So, all right, he's saying it for engagement. I get it. I mean, we're talking about it now. What was the exact comment? Because I didn't hear the comment.
He said, "Here's why: because it was real." He gave his own story. He gave his own story.
It was a top what?
Top 20 Raw promo of all time.
Top 20. Fucking top 20.
I couldn't even give you a fucking top 3, honestly. He gave his own story, which we could all talk about ourselves. But my biggest key was when I say is the emphasis of the curse word. He said. He's literally living the American dream and going after a guy who could kick his ass. It was such a great, heartfelt promo.
The emphasis on him calling Gunther an asshole. Like we hear this every week.
We hear
on
bitch
TV
every week.
We hear worse than bitch. So like I didn't really get that the emphasis on the curse word was any different than usual.
It was a very good, masterful promo. He said. A guy who gets paid to talk and gets paid a lot of money. The promo was money. You got behind it. And if anybody could defeat Gunther in that moment with that promo, it was Pat McAfee. He felt it was perfectly done to set up a classic wrestling dynamic. The ultimate good guy versus the ultimate bad guy, which is wrestling 101, he said.
All right, well, that's reasonable. But no, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a top 20 all time. I don't fucking know. I mean, there have been some great promos in Raw history, top 20. It sounds like he just pulled that out of his ass. I don't know. I mean, I agree with him. It was a great promo and it resonated with the audience, and he's very effective in that way. And he could have just left it at that. The rest of it, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, like you said, he's real, he's genuine. It comes off that way, and people believe in him. You know, people look at him as the way he presents himself as the everyday hardworking man from Pittsburgh. And, you know, even though he's making fucking multi-millions of dollars on his podcast and has the biggest sports podcast in the world, you know, people don't care about that. They genuinely emotionally invest in him. So,
yeah. And there's a reason why when he got attacked by Gunther a few weeks ago, unlike everybody else, like when Gunther walked away, nobody was chanting one more time, you know, go back and do it one more time. It was like, yeah, when Pat got to his feet, they cheered. They were happy that he seemed to be okay because they like the guy. So I think that's going to work. Like the heat that this match has on Saturday should be off the charts. And if it wasn't for them being in St. Louis, I would say it should have the most heat of anything on the show. It may still have the most heat of anything on the show, but I don't want to vote against Randy Orton since they're in St. Louis.
Yeah. Speaking of the one more time bullshit, I mean, obviously we saw that last week with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman out there doing what they did to Sami Zayn. They sang Rollins' song like they always do, but Paul Heyman put a stop to that last night, didn't they?
Yeah, and you know what? He's going to have to do or have more performances like that because people like to sing the Rollins song. They like to bark and cheer for Braun Breaker because they really don't want to boo Braun Breaker because he's a badass. If they want these guys to really be a heel faction, a lot of it's going to, like the heavy lifting is going to fall on Heyman to do more of what he did last night.
Did you make mention of Paul Heyman's appearance last night?
Yes, I did.
Because
I did.
Vince Russo was in my quotes last night because I mentioned I legitimately feared for Paul Heyman passing out last night. I feared for this man's health, and I told Vince Russo that because he was in my thread. He said, "Bro, is it me or does Paul Heyman look like a fucking toasted marshmallow?"
I knew there would be a bro. I knew there would be a bro in there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I compared him to like a Thanksgiving turkey is what he looked like. Yeah, just coming out of the oven. I mean, it was like I said, he got into Braun Breaker's jar of self-tanner, and now Seth Rollins is like the palest in the entire group. He's going to have to do something to fit in with the rest of them. He looked very unhealthy when he reached the apex of that promo where he says, "I was right." Remember, he was yelling, "I was right," and that's where it looked like. I want to say like he was turning red, but you really couldn't tell because he was so brown. But if it wasn't for all the brown bronzer, he would have been like beet red, and it looked like he could drop at any moment. But that was also the best part of the promo.
It was.
So like him emoting like that. And I thought his explanation for why he did what he did to Roman and Punk was actually very straightforward and it made a lot of sense.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, and you know, that's a recurring thing lately with the heels.
I said that. It's like all Triple H's heels are like, yeah, they want to be bad, but they also want to tell you how much right they are. It's like I'm supposed to boo you. You're not supposed I'm not supposed to agree with you.
Right, and that's the problem. Like, it's okay if you have a Kevin Owens or a Drew McIntyre come along and that's, you know, kind of their character, but when everybody does it, and even Becky was kind of doing that, then it becomes a little much. Where you really need to find a heel that has no redeemable qualities whatsoever and is just wrong, and you can boo them and feel comfortable booing them. And when every single heel has some reasonable rationale for why they did what they did, or, you know, act the way they act, I think that's a bit much. You don't want to go too overboard where every character is like that.
I agree. It's literally Kevin Owens did it. Drew McIntyre did it. Paul Heyman's doing it. I mean, he won't be Rollins is doing it. It's like,
yeah, everybody's doing it. It's like the new thing to do.
I like it, but you know, I want to genuinely have that old school. Like Gunther's the only. He's like a fucking throwback. It's like Gunther's a heel, and he acts like a heel, and he does the heel thing. It's like he's the only one on the roster.
JD Ultra says Heyman looked like a sweating tomato. He did. He did.
Yeah, he must have enjoyed that Vegas sun a little bit too much, man. I don't know.
Oh my God! You ever see that Seinfeld episode where Kramer falls asleep on the roof while he's
Yes.
tanning himself. Yeah, that was Paul Heyman.
What was I watched last Thursday? I watched a whole block of it on fucking TV Land, and they played the episode where it was all Kenny Banya, and Kenny gave Jerry the suit, and it's just like he wants him to take him out and Jerry's like, well, order whatever you want. He's like, I'm gonna get a soup. And this is it, Banya. This is the meal.
Well, he took him out. He was already out with him, and he goes, "All right, what do you want? I'll just have a soup. I'll save the meal for another time." He's like, "Excuse me?" He goes, "No, this is the meal."
And then Elaine is like, "Well, what type of soup is it? I mean, there's some hearty soups out there."
Did he crumple his crackers into the soup? Like, what difference does it make?
And then they sit at the diner. He orders fucking a sandwich and a salad, and Judge's just like, "This is it, Banya. This is the meal." He's like, "We're in a fucking diner. This is not the meal."
We're in a coffee shop. What are you talking about?
Oh man, what a great show, man! It's I watched a whole block of that, so
it's timeless.
Jey Uso, Paul Heyman, great open to the show. Main event was great. What did you think of? I know people were still shitting on Jey Uso and the performance he did last night. Some people were even screenshotting the CageMatch.net rating from the fans on CageMatch.net. I think at like an 8.5. It was probably one of Jay's better matches, but he's always had great matches against Rollins, and it just goes to show you how great Rollins is as a worker. I thought for 20 minutes what they did was really good stuff. I actually thought it was better than the WrestleMania match he just had. So
yeah,
if this is a glimpse, Jason, as to what we may get at SummerSlam, I'm fully confident that this is going to be a right main event for SummerSlam.
Well, I mean, the thing with Rollins, and maybe it doesn't get talked about enough, Rollins don't miss. You know, he goes out there and has very good to great matches pretty much every time out. He is as sure of a thing as anybody in the company. So if anybody's going to elevate Jey Uso's game and make him step up his game, Rollins is the guy to do it. So I think I was surprised we got the match last night because I'm imagining that this could be the SummerSlam title match. And so why would they do it now? That was just a taste of what I think they could do. So if they run this back at Money in the Bank or they run this back, at SummerSlam, and provided they give them time. I didn't time it. Probably felt like 15
It went around 19 minutes last night.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So 20 minutes. Yeah. I have no doubt that, he would be a great opponent for Jey Uso.
We got Penta and JD McDonough. Penta's getting an IC title match against Dominic at the pay-per-view on Saturday, or the PLE on Saturday for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm not expecting Penta to win the title yet, but I am very interested to see how AJ Styles fits into this. AJ's wrestling Finn Balor, as Dominic told Finn to take care of AJ after AJ put his eyes on the title. AJ, I feel, being in the IC title picture is going to be a great move for him. I think that fits very well for him. Penta, I'm not really looking for this match to be anything great, but I'm glad it got added to the show. It's always great to see Penta in a bigger stage, or on a bigger stage than on Monday Night Raw. What do you make of this match, Jason, coming out of Monday Night Raw? Are you looking for Dominic to retain, and then eventually they start building towards SummerSlam, that split with him and Finn and Judgment Day? And where does Penta fit into all that?
I don't know if Penta does fit into that beyond, like, once this runs its course, he may move on to something else. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Dominic losing the championship yet. There's so much story potential there untapped with him and Balor. It would be kind of foolish. I think Dom should have a nice run for himself as champion before they take that title off of him. I think there's a better chance they take the U.S. title off of Jacob Fatu before they take this title off of Dom. So I like the match. I hate that, it's going to be a loss for Penta. I would imagine Balor gets involved in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dom losing the title certainly this weekend is not in the cards.
Dominic retain, probably Balor, like I said, Fowler. I feel like AJ Styles last night on Monday Night Raw. Dominic and Penta, I think Balor's going to get integrated into that match somehow for the ending. Gunther's going to go over Pat McAfee. We know that for sure. Dominic over Penta. The other thing that happened last night on Monday, as far as what we see here coming off the Raw brand, is Lyra and Becky. I really liked this segment, and it's specifically mostly towards Lyra. Now, I am not sold on heel Becky Lynch yet. Hopefully we get to a point where I am sold personally. I don't know how Jason feels, but I am really impressed so far, Jason, with Lyra and the way she's been presented and the way she's come off. She's finally gotten an opportunity with a microphone in her hand to really let us in on who she is and how she sounds, and just, see her mannerisms and her characteristics, and just her getting angry and frustrated and proud that she's the Intercontinental Champion, and kind of, standing there and going toe to toe with Becky Lynch on the microphone. I think what she did last night was really good stuff. I think Lyra, we're slowly getting there. I don't know if we're going to get to the end of where this is going with Lyra. I hope the fans really take to her. But it seemingly looks like, at least from my point of view, that it's working here with the Becky Lynch heel turn, at least in Lyra's case. How do you feel about this?
I thought it was Lyra's best promo work that we've seen. She was projecting a confidence that maybe she didn't have previously. She got a couple of zingers in there. I like the thing about how, Becky likes to be the first at everything. And so she was the first this and the first that. And she was the first Intercontinental, and she stopped. She goes, oh, wait, that was me. And so she had a few good lines in there like that. And I think, I think Becky is helping, but I also think we're just finally getting a chance to see Lyra go out there and talk more, and she just wasn't getting a lot of time to go out there and cut promos before. So she's making improvements character-wise, which is great. And I do think that Becky as a heel is the way to go. So I disagree. Because if you think back to when she got over the first time, the fans liked her. I mean, the fans loved her, but really she was acting, she was more of a tweener maybe, but she was acting more heelish. That's what got her over in the first place. And it was her social media game, and it was all the burns. And we saw some of that in the Raw post-show thing, when she did the podcast last night, and she got a couple of good lines in there. That's the Becky that got over, in 2018. If she was just babyface Becky, I don't know. I mean, that just doesn't appeal to me right now. And so I think her in the heel role is the right spot for her. There are times she may come out and it doesn't work, or she's saying something cringy, but I like her in this role. I do think that doing a title change is the right thing to do here. Some people may disagree and say, why would you do that? She doesn't need it. It's not a matter of her needing it. It's a matter of what she can do to help elevate the Intercontinental title. Because really, it's an issue with both women's mid-card titles, is it not? Where they haven't done enough to really establish them at a level that I feel like they should be at. And I feel like somebody with a name like Becky winning it and having it for a few months, and then having Lyra beat her to get it back. Or if she wins it and then Bayley comes back and we get Bayley and Becky, and wow, they're actually fighting over the Intercontinental title instead of the world title. Like, I just don't buy into this idea that you can't have big names, or you shouldn't have big names holding or competing for, the mid-card titles, because we've seen it be very effective on the men's side before with people like Seth Rollins with the IC and John Cena with the US. It can make a difference.
Yeah, I do think that they did things a little backwards. They went right to Lyra and right to Chelsea, and even though Lyra's a great wrestler, I mean, there wasn't a lot of equity built in there from the fan base. Chelsea is great, but they didn't do anything with it. I mean, it's more of a comedy thing, anything with her Secret Hervis and all that stuff, and now it's on Zelina Vega. So it looks like they're rectifying what they're doing with the Intercontinental title, putting it on Becky, and I agree with you. A name like Becky is going to bring a lot of value to that. Bayley fighting over that is going to bring a lot of value to that. And when Lyra hopefully gets to where she needs to, she beats Becky, and the title is better off for it, and Lyra's better off for it. So hopefully she'll be more over in that sense. I do think they did things a little backwards, but I don't know what they're doing with the United States title. I mean, I can't even tell you who on that show should even be in that spot. I don't think it should be Zelina. She gets no reactions when she comes out, even though the match on Friday was really good with Piper Niven.
It was, and they gave it more time than I thought it would get.
Yeah.
But yeah, she comes out. The people just are very indifferent, when she comes out. Now, maybe that she's the champion. If she gets, more consistent time, promo time, maybe she can change that. But, so far, I almost feel like it's just more of a transitional phase to get it onto somebody else. I just don't know who that person would be. And a lot of the faces that we've seen from NXT have all been on Raw. It's very imbalanced right now. We've seen Roxanne and Julie and Stephanie. They've all been on Raw, right? What about SmackDown?
I don't know. The less we talk about SmackDown, the better. I mean, holy shit.
Well, we only have a few more weeks. Today is May 6th.
I know.
And if Dave Meltzer is correct, we are exactly 1 month away from the return of... We should have a countdown clock going on here, but we are exactly 1 month away from the return of 2-hour SmackDowns, which in and of itself does not cure the ills that have plagued this show. They still have to just make it a more entertaining show, but slicing off an hour is going to help a lot. So I can't wait.
Yes, it goes from 3 shit emojis to 2 shit emojis.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have 2 than 3.
Yes. Yes, I think we're both taking Becky to win the title on Saturday. It should be a very good match if given the time, and I hope that they do. Sheamus came back on Monday. It's nice to see Sheamus. I mean,
It's about time.
It is about time. I mean, his banger after banger is more than a catchphrase. I mean, he's just as solid as a worker as they come, and he does not. He's in one of those categories where he just doesn't have bad matches. So even with Austin Theory, a very good match. I don't know what they're doing with Theory and Waller. The less said, the better. Just break them up already and move them on into singles roles. I don't know what the fuck we're waiting for. But Sheamus is back, and he beat Austin Theory last night. New day. And the tag team titles, it looks like we're going back to the War Raiders as they have a match next week with the Creeds for the number 1 contendership. Roxanne and Io, they wrestled a very good match last night, and I was hoping that this match would be added to the pay-per-view. Io and Rhea versus Roxanne and Julia, not on the PLE Saturday. They're saving it for Raw next week on the show after the PLE, but beggars can't be choosers. But I like the fact that the women's division is really competitive right now. And again, I'm expecting that announcement of Evolution 2 to be any week. They're probably saving it for after the PLE. So that's that. And Rusev, he had his first match in WWE back on Raw last night against Otis. If there's any confusion, Jason, there's no more. He is a heel.
He beat up one of the most lovable characters on the roster. So, yeah, I would say so.
Akira Tozawa?
2 of the most lovable characters on the entire Raw roster.
That would have been it would have been something if he beat up Maxine Dupree, too.
Well, in AEW, maybe he would have maybe put her in the accolade or something, but not in WWE.
Adam Pearce was a part of that big pull-apart at the end of his match, so it looks like they got some hopeful plans for him. Well, at least I hope, anyway.
I don't know. We'll see. He's not wrestling for the Intercontinental title so long as Dom has it.
No.
So, you know what, though? Sheamus just came back, so maybe there's a connection there.
I hope so.
Maybe him and Sheamus are going to work against each other.
Rusev Sheamus, Rusev Penta, Rusev Styles. I'll take any one of them. Should be good.
Karrion Kross is still floating around, so...
Yeah, there was something with him today. Apparently, the Righteous asked for their release and were granted from Ring of Honor, so he put a cryptic video out with their theme song playing in the background and him looking at a window with bomber glasses on. I don't know what that's about. New stable?
You know what, though? He just came from a stable. Does he really need one?
No.
He seems to be like he's kind of building momentum on his own. That's him and Scarlett. I don't think you need more than that right now, honestly.
Did you catch his documentary?
I didn't. I've heard good things about it. I did see a clip from it, but I haven't watched the entire thing yet.
Should open up that Blueberry Seagrams and dedicate a nice off day to watching it.
Well, if I open the Blueberry Seagrams after the one I had tonight, I don't think I'll be able to see straight. I won't be able to watch the documentary. It'll just be a bunch of blurry lines.
How much of that pineapple powerhouse did you actually drink? Half the can?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll show you what's left. This is what's left of the can.
You drank the whole fucking can?
Well, over a period of a few hours. I mean, I didn't just start drinking it.
Oh, well,
2 hours ago.
I know. But still.
Had a little bit with dinner, and then I waited a few hours.
All right, that works.
I'm not that crazy.
No, I can't drink something like that in one sitting. It's like a couple of sips, and then I move on to the next.
It's like the people that have these giant like Monster energy drinks. I see that I can't do.
No.
Like of that size, like one of those energy drinks with all the sugar.
I used to work with somebody at the jewelry shop that drank like 5 Red Bulls a day. I don't even know how they have a liver, honestly.
I don't know either, but like I remember somebody in the office I used to work in brought in one of those Monster energy drinks. Because he knew like Solomonster. So he got me a Monster. And I had very little. And my hand was trembling. Like my hand was shaking. I said, you know what? I think I should stop. I don't think I should finish this. It had that effect on me. I can't imagine like downing 5.
No.
5 of those.
No, the crash that comes with those things is ridiculous. I can't do that.
I don't know how people do it.
Yeah. Backlash is on Saturday, guys. Who are you taking in the United States title? Fatu, Priest, McIntyre. Who are you taking?
I'm gonna take Fatu. I did briefly flirt with the idea that McIntyre might win, just because it was Solo Sikoa's idea to have him added. And maybe if he were to win, they could kind of use that as a way to twist the knife between Fatu and Solo. But McIntyre doesn't need it. It almost feels beneath him. So I'm gonna stick with Fatu. I'll tell you what though, Drew McIntyre should be furious, because think about it. He beat Damian Priest at WrestleMania. He beat LA Knight, albeit by DQ, but he beat LA Knight in correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was a number 1 contenders match.
It was.
He should be the number 1 contender. Now he's in a fucking 4-way match.
And he wasn't even added to the match until Solo said something.
Right. He's getting screwed again.
It's like a thing over here. It's like his story.
He's a heel who has a legitimate reason to be upset.
I don't know. I'm going Jacob Fatu. I don't think either one of those.
Yeah, so much.
I don't think any one of those guys is going to win. Like I said, I agree with you. McIntyre's beneath that. LA Knight, he just lost it. No reason to give him back the title. And Damian Priest, I could see him eventually getting there. I could see them doing Priest and Fatu at SummerSlam or somewhere along those lines. But I think Fatu, they're going to ride him out. And then John Cena and Randy Orton, obviously the main event for Saturday's show. We love Cena, we love Orton, but like Jason and I both have said on our platforms, the bell will ring on Saturday night, and it will probably go 25 minutes, and it's going to be a methodical fucking mess. Crowd's going to be into it, I'm sure, because it's St. Louis. But I'll tell you this, I seen this floated around out there, Jason. I want to run this by you. No Way Out, 2008. Randy Orton attacked the referee and caused a disqualification during John Cena and Orton's match in the main event that night. Blatant DQ to retain the title. I think they run that ending back and just do it reversed on Saturday.
I think that would be awful.
How was you going to end the fucking match then?
Because I think that one thing people are forgetting is that they did that finish, but they didn't close the show with it. Like, it was right before an Elimination Chamber match, I believe.
Oh,
so
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
You're going to close the show with a finish like that? I mean, that they could, but I just think that would be terrible, especially if the match leading up to the finish is terrible. It'd be one thing if you had a great match with a shitty finish. I would hate to have a shitty match with a shitty finish. What I floated is we've been seeing R-Truth on TV these last few weeks, and it was very interesting watching him on SmackDown when he confronted Randy in the back, and he was very serious. He wasn't like playing it for comedy or anything. And he said, John Cena is going to beat you because he told me so. He's going to be the last real champion and he would never lie to me. And then he walked off. And I said, what if Cena uses him as his kind of useful idiot to do his bidding for him? Because Truth honestly believes in this man. Like he idolizes him. He's been stealing his moves for years. And he truly believes that John Cena is being righteous and being honest with him. And so what if Cena realizes that and starts using Truth as like a useful idiot who can do, some dirty work on the events where Travis Scott may not be there? He could use R-Truth in that role. And then eventually you can build the Truth finally realizing what Cena's all about. Cena could attack him and, But what do you think about that idea about working Truth, who up until now has been a comedy guy, but working him into this and doing it in that way? Well,
they've had 2 appearances the last 2 weeks for a reason. So, I mean, that obviously needs to.
But I mean, playing into
the
finish of this match.
Yeah, it's got to be a reason why he's done this 2 weeks in a row now with Jimmy Uso. So.
Yeah,
I like that. As long as we don't see Fiend or hear Fiend and see Travis Scott, I mean, I'm all good to go there. But
we might. We
might see Fiend and Cody on Saturday. Hopefully that is not the case as far as Travis Scott is concerned. But again, we don't know what Saturday night's main event beholds us. I mean, God forbid it's the rumor that comes true with Meltzer over there with Bad Bunny and Cody versus Travis Scott and John Cena. Imagine.
And then they're going to do the match on TV.
Saudi?
It's a better chance of it there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that out there in the universe, but I like that idea, though. R-Truth and John Cena. I think that's a solid way to end the show, and kind of a shocker, honestly, because everybody loves Truth. To see him actually align himself with this dastardly evil John Cena, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, he's being manipulated by him, and the people want to see Truth, snap out of it. Eventually, he does. And again, Cena can attack him for even more heat, and you get a Cena Truth match out of it. It doesn't have to be a PLE match; it could be a television match, but. That I think it's all in the execution. It all really depends on how they do it. I like that idea better than if it was just Truth, like, oh man, I can't believe, Cena saying all these horrible things about the fans. It's like, no, he's being brainwashed, and he's such a loyalist, and he's like a Cena sicko, and he believes in everything this man has to say. And then you have the fans who are just, and other wrestlers too, like Jimmy, who are just trying to talk some sense into him. But he just doesn't get it, right away.
Yeah, I like it. And that is Saturday. That's Backlash St. Louis. Again, Jason and I will be live on our respective channels for the Backlash post.
It's a good night to be a bad guy. I'm looking at these predictions here. So we have Cena, right? I think we're both agreeing Cena wins. Gunther, Becky, Dominic. And technically, I mean, the people like Fatu. He's the closest thing to a babyface.
Yeah.
I guess you could call him a babyface. He's technically not. That's a really heel-heavy show if we're right.
Listen, 1 out of 5 matches, I'll take it. Whatever.
Yeah.
So that is your Backlash preview predictions. That is your episode 94 of TNT. Thank you guys very much. We're going to get into your super chats. If you don't mind, I'd love if we could get 80 more likes for 1,000. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up down below and hit that thumbs up to get us to 1,000 likes. Super chats are open and they will remain open. And we're going to get into them in just a second, but please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, not only on this channel, but Jason's channel as well. And go follow us on social media. Everything you need is linked down below in the description. Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. JDOTS, congratulations, Jason, on 1 year of TNT. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Boss Mo Jackson with a $4.99. 100 men versus one silverback has taken over the internet. It's ridiculous, but interesting. It's just a thought. But 200 gremlins versus one silverback. Thoughts? Is it really taking over the internet? Because every time I see something with anything that in the tweet, I just quickly scroll past. I don't care.
Yeah, who comes up with these? Like, how do these stupid things even go viral in the first place?
I don't know.
I'm going with a gorilla, by the way.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. I've never vote against the gorilla.
No. Cody Snyder with a $5 super chat. Thank you, JD, Jason, and Drew for TNT. TNT made Tuesday significant. Wouldn't mind Drew joining you two for a super show. Cheers, dudes. Well, maybe we'll figure something out for episode 100. Who knows?
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Cody. Tone C with a 5. I'll be at Dynamite tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a good show. Well, we previewed it tonight, Tone C. You got your All-Star 6-man tag and 2 eliminator matches. Enjoy yourself. Michelle with a 5. It feels like when, not if, Braun and Heyman turn on Seth, could we be building to Seth and Braun at WrestleMania? If not, and not Seth and Sammy? What about Sammy and Drew at WrestleMania? Way too early to tell, Michelle. I mean, I don't really see Braun being the type of henchman that's going to be like 2 years in the same faction. So it could come to an end quicker than anybody's anticipating. But I'm going to go Sammy and Seth. I think that's the play.
Yeah, now. I mean, it just feels like they've gotten away from Sammy and Drew.
Yeah.
And yeah, with them being on separate brands, of course. If they have a draft, I mean, that could change everything. But
which is rumored.
It is rumored. It is rumored. But Drew also just got moved to SmackDown. I don't see him moving again so quickly. Sammy would have to be the one who moves, and they've already established ties to Jay and Seth. So I don't see. I mean, he literally just told Heyman and Seth, go to hell. Like, I'm not going to SmackDown. I'm staying where I am.
Yeah.
So
DC with 37 months. Thank you, DC. Congrats on 1 year, Jason. You and JD have a natural chemistry together. It feels natural and genuine. Here's to another 100. Cheers from Calgary. Well, thank you, DC.
The Great White North.
Yes. Thank you, DC. Michelle, thank you. Tone C, thank you. Nate, coming to us from Australia with a 5. Happy 1 year solo. Did you see Riley clap back at Alvarez? And my God, sometimes I wish the IWC wasn't stupid. Fake outrage, now crying about Del Rio. Seriously. Yeah, it's all fake outrage, bro. What are you going to do? I'm glad someone, I mean, listen, you speak your truth, man. If you got something to say, speak. Riley did that. Riley Osborne. Mm-hmm. Justin with a 199. Happy 1 year on TNT Solomonster.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Justin. Wrestle Mess with a 4 months. Hulk Hogan. Happy anniversary, Molo Sonster.
It's like Benjamin Shelton. If they don't incorporate that into like the show tomorrow night, like what are we doing here?
They have. I hope to God they do.
They have to. They have to.
Thank you, Wrestle Mess. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Happy A, Solomonster. TNT is goated, the greatest. Thank you,
this
Boss
is
Mo.
a man who knows what's up.
Yeah.
And, it's a 1 year anniversary for me here tonight, but we are coming up pretty quick on triple digits very soon.
We are. 100 episodes coming up in the next month and a half.
Yeah.
David Thiering. What's up, brother? 12 months. The stars align perfectly. And we are celebrating the Solomonster being on TNT for a year and me being a 1 year member. Cheers to many more, fellas. That is fucking cool as shit, David. Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
David's awesome.
Baby Shaq 342 with 36 months. Happy anniversary to you, both JD and Solomonster. 100 episodes of TNT on the horizon. Yes. Very soon. I don't know what I'll be drinking, but I may go out and get a nice craft beer for the occasion. I don't know.
Well, it won't be these things.
No, they'll be gone by then.
Yeah.
Ali with 33 months. Here's the joke that came up with. Hopefully it makes y'all laugh. Why did the hairdresser win the race? He knew a shortcut. A nice try, Ali.
That's the joke?
That's the joke, yeah.
All right. It's
not the worst. That's not the worst.
It's decent.
Yeah. And we got Sidro and Duff coming up soon. Jay Shundo with a 499. Congrats to both of you on the 1 year anniversary of TNT. Thank you, Shundo.
Thank you.
Boss Mo Jackson with the 499. TNT is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. It's nice to know the greatest tag team in podcast history. Yeah. Thank you, boss. Fire Panda, 8 months. How do you feel about cross teaming with the Righteous if they come to WWE? I like the Righteous. I think they got a nice vibe to them. I like Jason said, I don't think Cross needs that right now. I think they push Cross as a solo. I think that's the play. Thank you, Fire Panda. Israel Garcia with a 499. Seth's group should be called Rollins and the Oranges.
I think they should be called the Tan Line.
Yes, that's a good one. The Tan Line. Sidro, we don't have a name for them yet. Hopefully we do get a name. Sidro with a 10. He puts in parentheses, made Solo crash out on this one on Friday. He says, I broke up with my girlfriend Lorraine because I was seeing another girl named Claire Lee. But the good news is that I can see Claire Lee now. Lorraine has gone. That made you crash out on Friday?
Yeah, I don't know why it did. It did because I was listening to the song in my head. It is a classic song, so it got me. It got me then. It didn't get you, but it got me.
Well, I mean, being that it's
you have heard the song, right? I can see clearly now. You've heard the song. It's a classic song.
Oh, I was thinking Copeland's theme. I see clearly.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
I can see clearly now.
I can see. Yes, it's a play off the lyrics of that song. I can see clearly now.
Oh, until the rain is gone. That one.
I can see clearly now. The rain is.
Lorraine is gone. Oh yes. Okay, now I guess.
Okay, it took him 28 seconds to get the punchline.
Sidro, I'm sorry, man.
Who sings this? Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know who sings that.
Classic song. I'm surprised you're not aware of it. Johnny Nash.
Bro,
1972.
I couldn't tell you one Johnny Nash song if you fucking held a gun to my head, bro. I couldn't tell you.
1972.
Sidra, I'm sorry I failed you, bro. Failed you. As long as I made Jason laugh, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
The Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Who is greater, Bianca Belair or Sasha Banks?
Better at what?
I don't know. Who's? I guess career-wise, am I gonna say Sasha? I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, Sasha.
Yeah.
I mean, Bianca's great, but it's such a vague thing. But yeah, I'm gonna go Mercedes.
Yeah. Also, Boss Mo Jackson with the 199. Dom and Vega need their own finishers and stop ripping off Ray. I'm guessing the 619. Yeah, sure. I mean, Dom. I mean, it's his father, so of course he's going to incorporate that move.
Yeah, well, but Vega, the inspiration is the Amazing Red.
Yeah, for sure. Anthony Vagonis with a 999, no message, and then he leaves another 999, and no message. So thank you, Anthony, for the 20 in super chats. Sidro with a 5. I tried to eat a waffle on a beach in Southern California. It was a Sandy Eggo. See, that one made me laugh. I don't know why the other one didn't make me laugh. That one made me laugh. And a drummer has 2 daughters. What's he named them? Anna 1 and Anna 2. Yeah, bro, this is like a 2-week-old joke, bro.
Yeah, I'm almost positive I've heard that one.
I thought you said that one last week. Or the week before.
Anna 1, Anna 2.
Yeah, Anna 1, Anna 2. Sidro also with a $2 super chat. What do you call Batman after a fight? Oh my god. What do you call Batman after a fight? Bruised. Bruised Wayne.
I knew it before you even finished saying it.
Bruised Wayne. Thank you, Sidro.
Oh man.
Boss Mo Jackson with a $5 super chat. At times, JD gets carried away and Solo has to reel JD back to reality. I guess you're talking about me saying that Dakota and Shayna going over and running roughshod over the AEW Women's Division.
No, I believe you were saying that there's a spark.
Yeah, the spark.
It's the spark for the division. It's going to change. It's going to be a game-changing spark for the division. Like, all right, let's cool our jets here.
You two are hilarious and a great compliment to each other. Thank you, Boss Mo Jackson. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man.
Ali with a 5. What's the difference between Batman and a shoplifter? Batman can go into a store without robbing. That was better than the first one you got, Ali. I'll give you that one.
It wasn't Bruised Wayne, but it was pretty good.
Noah with a $4.99. Noah Driscoll. #Killer Cross. You know, I see a lot of people thinking he's gonna end up leaving when his contract expires. I don't think he goes anywhere. I think he stays.
I think. I mean, it's sad to say. I think the only way he goes is if they let him go.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful they see, like, it just feels like he's finally building some momentum. I don't know where it's going to lead. It should lead somewhere. I mean, there's something there. And I feel like if they don't see it, it's just because they're just blind. But yeah, I don't see him leaving if it's his choice, but it's not always the talent's choice, as we saw this week.
Blue Jay with a $2 super chat. He leaves in quotes. Excitement levels are great, brother. Yeah, for RAF. Yeah, for sure thing.
RAF.
Anthony Vagonis with a $9.99. Braun will go to NWA with EC3. That's not even worth it. Kai
I forgot all about EC3. My God.
Me too. I don't know. Isn't he
First time I've heard his name mentioned in a while.
Isn't he doing a podcast with Russo on Sportskeeda?
Probably why.
Yeah, probably why. Kai can be a top woman in AEW. I think big match at Forbidden Door, maybe against Mercedes. My guess is Dakota. Braun had 3-year money expiring. A 3-year contract. Money expiring August 1st and September 1st for Braun. 3 months severance. They're paid their debts, I guarantee, right? When they're under the 90-day, 30-day thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, yes. So they'll be fine until their non-compete's over, Anthony. Sidro with a 10. What did Man say when he dropped his steak? Like, I guess it's ground beef now. Oh my god, so fucking stupid. And who would win an arm wrestling match? Someone on a vegan diet or someone on a seafood diet? Seafood guy wins. He has more muscles. That's a golf clap from Solomonster. Okay. Also, Sidro here with a 5. How do pigs save money on clothes? Oh, like they use. Oh no, they use hand-me-downs.
Hand-me-downs?
Hand-me-downs, yes.
Hand-me-downs.
And
my goodness.
Heard of the Egyptian crocodile whose friend passed away. They say he's still in denial.
Well, that's an old one. I've heard that one. I've heard variations of that one before.
Fulgence Henry, what's up, brother? $20 super chat. Shout out to the GOATs, TNT. Mr. Henry is the one who made our TNT bracelets.
Oh, very nice. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that. I am wearing it right now.
There you go. Look at that.
There you go.
Thank you, my friend.
Very badass.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you as always. I may need to hit you up, man. The one that you made me with the skull on it, I misplaced it. I don't know where it is. I think I left it in Chicago last time I was there for a House of Glory show. Who else do we got here? Let's see. Fucking, I wish YouTube would fix the goddamn scripts on this fucking studio. It's crashing like 4 times now.
Yeah, it happened to me yesterday a couple times.
Also, 37 months. Thank you, my friend Fulgence Henry with 37 months here. Thank you, man. Scorpio, 1117, $10 super chat. Becky Lynch is 100% on the money. The fact that WWE and AEW continue to push 40 to 50-year-old male superstars rather than push these young, attractive women's wrestlers is a head-scratcher. She's not wrong. She's not wrong at all.
No, but you know what? At the end of the day, with them in their mind, it's all about stars.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stars who happen to be, I don't say aging out, but they happen to be older. And in their mind, you want those stars who they feel like can draw them money and draw them ratings, and that's why they focus on them so heavily. But a lot of times it comes at the expense of other people on the roster who would love to have those opportunities, and they don't get them.
Tan May with a $7.99. Happy anniversary, Jason. Only 6 episodes till episode 100.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Very good stuff, man. Thank you, Tan May. Sidro with a 5. Confucius say, man who run behind car get exhausted. Man who run in front of car get tired.
Thank you, Confucius.
Thank you, yeah, Confucius. Thank you, Sidro. Hashtag I love you guys. Hashtag TNT for life. Hashtag I did it for the walk. Thank you, Sidro. Arabian Night, $6.99. Cora, Nikita, Ariana, Soul, Wendy Chu, Shotzi, Zoe, Gigi. 7 women with torn ACLs in NXT within 2 to 3 years is wild. Practices must be studied in Orlando.
It's like a curse down there. And that's probably not even all of them. There's probably some that we don't even know of. I mean, don't forget, did you mention Tegan in that list?
I did not mention Tegan.
Yeah, I got Tegan too.
That's a lot. I mean, Nikita had back-to-back ACL injuries. That's like fucking ridiculous.
In each knee, I think.
Yeah. Elizabeth with 2 months. Thank you, Elizabeth. Congratulations to Solomonster on the 2-year anniversary of being, well, it's 1-year anniversary of being on TNT. We're almost 2 years for a show. Every Tuesday night. You love the OTS family. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jason PDSI with a 10. Here's a tenner for the 2-year anniversary of Jason keeping JD's blood pressure down for at least a few hours a week. Congratulations, guys. Keep it up. Wish I could give more. Jason, thank you, brother. Any little bit helps, man. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Jason.
Hollywood guy with a 5. JD, they released my queen. How dare they? They released Shotzi. Yeah, well, listen, everybody's their queen on social media. Queen or goat or whatever. But, I mean, there's weirdos on there, and they'll get over it. Everybody's going to be fine. Thank you, Hollywood guy. Vinny with a 199. Big Benjamin Shelton fan, brother. Yeah.
I think that guy's going places.
Yeah, let me know where he wrestles next, man. I'm gonna buy the Triller TV show he's on. Duff's Vids with a $4.99. What do you call a sleepwalking nun? A Roman Catholic. Oh man, that's a good one, man. Duff's, that's a good one, man. Also, Duff's Vids with a $4.99. What is Peter Pan's favorite place to eat out on Valentine's?
Oh no, I could already see this going to a bad place.
What is Peter Pan's favorite place to eat out on Valentine's Day? Wendy's.
I thought there was going to be a Tinkerbell joke in there.
Oh, man.
I don't know exactly how it was going to come out. That wasn't what I was expecting.
Two guys. Listen, man. Sidra, you got some competition here, man. Slow King with a $1.99. Oh, you got me, brother.
Oh, you got me, brother. I just love how petty Undertaker is. Like, how many years later he doesn't let him forget it.
Boss Mo Jackson with a $1.99. Demonstrably false versus Goldberg. I'm taking Goldberg.
I think I'm taking Goldberg too.
Nobody wants to see him in the ring. Neither one of them, but I'm taking Goldberg. David Thiering with a 10. Might as well call Hulk Hogan's new wrestling promotion either the Freaky Friday, Addams Family, or the promotion of Misfit Toys, and bring on Kevin Dunn to the production team. Imagine they bring on Beaver to the production team, man. That'd be crazy. I gotta give Dunn credit though. He did a great job. Minus the fucking camera shakes, fucking 19 per second. But
may as well bring in Vince at that point.
Yeah. Justin Toner with a $20 super chat. Happy anniversary. You two have made TNT must watch me every week. Check out Julia versus Jordan Grace on NXT tonight. Great match. Grace won, so it's her versus Stephanie at Battleground. That match is going to be amazing. Should be a good one. I'm tuning in just simply to watch Stephanie, but I'm thinking Jordan wins and Stephanie gets called up. That's my prediction. I think it's, keeping her down there is great and all, but she's more than ready.
Yeah, there's a reason why I think we've seen Stephanie on Raw now a few times.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's coming.
Yeah. Jordan's ready too, but listen, they're all ready. They're going to need someone to anchor that division, and Stephanie's been there longer than Jordan Grace, so that time will come for her.
Yeah, and Stephanie is she's a rock star.
Yeah.
So.
Levi with the 32 months. Congrats on 1 year solo, and congrats to you, JD, on your success of TNT. I acknowledge you both. Thank you, Levi. Duffs with a $4.99. Why are movies starring turkeys rated R? Because of foul language.
Jesus.
We got a couple of Duffs here. $1.99. What do you call someone without a phone? You don't. And Duffs with a $4.99. Why did the computer get cold? It left its windows open. Oh man, so it's so simple, man, but so effective. These fucking Duffs jokes, man. That's great. That's awesome.
That's good.
Blue Jay with a $1.99. Reminder: role model. Role model.
God, she should leave. She should leave just for that alone.
Now listen. Has Malachi or Aleister Black's theme or Penta's theme, do they sound significantly different now that there's like actual musicians doing their songs? Because I know Adam Jones from Tool is doing Penta's theme now, right?
He's doing the guitar, yes, okay. on Penta's theme. Aleister's theme, when he first came out a few weeks ago, to my ear, I didn't notice any change. When you actually listen to the song, you could hear like subtle changes. And it sounds like they've come up, they have figured out a way to make minor changes to like some of the CFO songs to where they can actually retain ownership over them, which I guess if you enjoyed some of those old CFO songs is great, for the fans, but you talk about lack of creativity from Def Rebel. It's just taking old songs other people did and just making little minor tweaks. And then, I mean, hey, I guess whatever works. But
listen, whatever's gonna give you that feel of what they used to have, I don't mind it. But I mean, the AI, I have an ear for music. Like, you can easily tell it when it's AI generated drums and guitar. Like I listened to Ray Phoenix song on fucking WWE's Music YouTube. Like, it's all like my brother can write better music than what they gave him.
Yeah, well, apparently they make heavy usage out of VST instruments, like virtual instruments. That like they're known for that. So that's like a Def Rebel thing.
I don't know, man. It's got to be one of them weird cost cutting things, and the reason why they do. And now apparently, from what I was told, I wasn't sure. Yeah, UFC. Like,
they're doing the UFC music too now. Yeah.
They're not going away anytime soon. So Def Rebel is here to stay. Blue Jay, thank you. Boss Mo Jackson with 199. JD versus Gunther. Ref is Solo. Book it. Listen, man. Me taking a Gunther chop.
You know, it's wild to think there are two wrestlers right now in WWE named JD and Solo.
I know. It's crazy.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Duff's Vids with a $4.99.
Neither of whom are going to be world heavyweight champion.
No. What do you call a man with a shovel? Doug. What do you call a man? What do you call a man without a shovel? Douglas.
Okay. Who was that? Was that Sidro?
No, that was Duff's.
It was Duff again? Okay, it was Duff's again.
Oh, man. Nima P. Azar with a 5. This Backlash card looks atrocious. What do you guys think is the best Backlash pay-per-view you've seen? The one in Puerto Rico I'm going with.
The Puerto Rico one was very good, but I honestly, Backlash 2000 to me is probably still the standard. Like, that was the one that had Rock and Triple H, where Austin came out and hit everybody with chairs.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
What should have been the WrestleMania main event that year? Scotty 2 Hotty and Dean Malenko. I remember they had a great cruiserweight title match, and there was some other stuff on that show too. Jericho and was it Jericho and Benoit? I think they had a match as well. So that one's still pretty high up on the list for me, but the Puerto Rico one was also very good. Actually, I guess last year they were in Lyon, right?
That was a good one too, yeah.
Yeah.
Duff's $4.99. I'm thinking of selling a fragrance for introverts. It'll be called Leave Me the Fuck Cologne.
You make some money with that.
You could. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
$1.99 by Duff's. What fruit has fun on a slide? A kiwi. A kiwi.
Why is it it's like the simplest, like dumbest ones?
I don't know.
That elicit a reaction out of me.
I don't know. The phone one got this guy pretty good over here.
And the Doug and Douglas one is actually very clever.
We got a $4.99 from Yeet. Thank you, Yeet. The only thing I can't wait for tomorrow for Dynamite is the Hangman and Will Ospreay and what they have to say. Women's match random, but Okada match has some meaning. Does it? Okada's taking the title into All In. What meaning does it have against Kevin Knight? I wish it had meaning. I don't think there's anything on the show with meaning, honestly. But we'll be here. Learning Tree Jericho, 8131 with a 20 in Super Chat. Thank you, brother. There was a report that WWE will revisit the Bayley-Roxanne feud. My theory is that Becky beats Lyra, Bayley beats Becky, and then the revisit is Roxanne beating Bayley towards the end of the year for the IC title.
Sucks for Lyra.
Yeah, it does. I know some people, I didn't see it while I was watching the show last night, but people mentioned that Roxanne was talking to Finn in one of those inconspicuous backstage Triple H segments.
Yeah, it was when Jey Uso was on his way out for the main event. Like in the background, you saw Balor and Roxanne were having a conversation.
Zach the Don with a $1.99. Elias is back in NXT. Is this a good move? I don't know.
I'm indifferent.
I don't know. I don't really care, Don, but
yeah, it doesn't move me.
I mean, that's just the power of the TNA partnership. Listen, he was with WWE, now with TNA. Now he's back in WWE because he's in TNA. I mean, it's going to happen with Gigi and Cora and whoever else is going to end up over there.
But he had a different name in TNA. So what's his new name?
Ezekiel.
No.
Isn't it? No? What is it?
No. That's what I'm asking you.
I thought it was Ezekiel. What is his name, Chad?
He was Elias and Ezekiel in WWE, but in TNA, I'm almost positive he has a different name.
I could have swore it was with an E. I don't know. I'm sure Elijah, that's it. Elijah.
Okay.
I don't know why I said Ezekiel. Ezekiel.
Elias, Ezekiel, yeah. Elijah.
Whatever, man.
It's all the same.
Adam JD 519, 14 months. Happy TNT, guys. Congrats to Solomonster on 1 year. Looking forward to episode 100 and many more to come. OTS for life and sound off for life.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Adam. Craig with the 25 months. One thing I do miss from when I started listening to you back in 2018 is JD's job stories at the watch jewelry store. You had some hilarious stories. Brother, if I ever have to go back and work customer service again, shoot me. Thank God. I appreciate that, though. Those were some good stories. Yeeth with a 199. So who's Benjamin Shelton? I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing him wrestle, though.
That's what we're all asking ourselves. We don't know.
What do we got here?
It'd be kind of funny if like Shelton Benjamin was trademarked by WWE, and so he went to AEW and he had to be Benjamin Shelton, just to get around it.
I don't know why. How those words just came out of his mouth that as if he didn't know who he was. Like
it's like, remember when Cody couldn't use Cody Rhodes for a while?
Yeah.
So they would have him and Brandy come out because they could say Brandy Rhodes. So they would introduce them as Cody and Brandy Rhodes.
Yes, that's nice. It was a nice workaround.
Yeah, no, it worked.
Furious Nation with a $9.99, a $1.99, and a $4.99. Thank you, bro. What's up, guys? Congrats, Solo, to 1 year on TNT, 2 of the GOATs in the IWC. All I can say is if a draft happens this year, maybe in June, perhaps between Money in the Bank and Night of Champions, but I hope and pray it's not like last year's draft because I feel like last year's draft was awful and shafted SmackDown. Do you feel like Karrion Kross could turn face at all? I do think he's getting a little bit warmer of reaction when I do see him in these segments, like last night during the commercials. I did see the clip on social media. A draft, do I think they'll change the draft? No, it's going to be the same shit as it was last year. Mm-hmm. And I do think a shakeup is needed, for sure. But like Jason said, I think last week, I mean, this is around the time he said, well, you said around the late summer and then again at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, you do what they call it, the transfer window.
Yeah.
You do it twice a year. You do it once towards the end. It bleeds into the very beginning of the year. And then right around like mid-year, you have another one. And you have the GMs go back and forth and they can work out trades and transfers. You don't have to do, I know why they do it, but the draft show format they do is just boring. It's just bad television. And you don't need it.
Thank you, Furious Nation.
But then they can't have Carmelo Hayes going around talking about being the #1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Which amounted to so much for him.
It's mellow as Miz now.
Now he walks around, he's got Dre around his neck.
Yeah.
I forgot about Dre.
Demeter Bullion, Funky Ducky Quack Quack with a $7.99. Brocky Lesnar versus Tajiri. Or does Vinnie Mac come out and attack them with... well, actually, let me read this over again. Or does Vinnie Mac come out and attack them, then slap Johnny Nitro for doing his slow motion pose, then sings HBK's theme with AJ?
Have we ever figured out what mushrooms he does?
No.
Okay. Like what type of mushrooms he's doing?
I'm just envisioning Vinnie Mac coming in and attacking Johnny Nitro during his slow motion pose.
Yeah.
Shutter Bug Fan with a $4.99. What does a deaf gynecologist do? Oh no. He reads lips. Thank you, Shutter. David Theory of the 5. JD and Solo. Got a name suggestion for Duff's Vids and Sidro. The comedic duo here on TNT. The Laugh Bros. What do you both think? I like it.
I think we just call them the mega powers or the mega maniacs.
We do have some comedy coming from Sidro and Duffs. I'll tell you that. Thank you, guys. Thank you, David. Base Beerus with the $2 super chat. He says, I'm texting Mercedes right now.
Well, let us know what she says. I'm curious.
What is she saying, man?
It'd be kind of funny if, like, when you get a response, like if it's instantaneous, and your name is in all caps, and then the rest of the message is in like normal capitalization.
Now,
then it's totally real.
I don't know if this is legit or not. There's a social media account called Patrick the Heel. He screenshotted a text with Mercedes.
Yeah, I don't think that's no. I don't think
you don't think that's real.
Just no. I think he's just being funny.
Oh, you're the only one I wanted to talk to, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah,
I can imagine that being the reply too.
You're the only one I want, Patrick.
Yeah. Salty Stang with a $5 super chat. What's the difference between a young hoe and an old hoe? Young hoe, you need Vaseline. Old hoe, you need Polygrip. And he spelled ho, H-O, like Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. and he puts misspelled because YouTube. Thank you, Salty. Mark of Cain with a 10. If we're going to be all about supporting the women and giving them a spotlight and a chance to shine, we have to support the old 45-year-old women, too. They can wrestle. Ain't that why we watch them? Listen, bro, Mako Satomura just retired, and she would probably out-wrestle fucking the men at her age, so yes, I agree. Brentamania, 89 with a 2. Thoughts on Hulk Hogan and Eric's new thing? We talked about it in the show, bro. Mm-hmm. Wrath. It's coming soon. Sidra with a 5. Had to quit my job as a taxi driver. Too many people were talking behind my back. Oh, that's a good one. And what book is very popular amongst horse people? 50 Shades of Nye? Or Nay?
Oh, Nay.
Okay. Yeah. 50 Shades of Nay.
A horse doesn't go nigh. Horse goes neigh. It's like the cow goes moo.
Sorry.
And the dog goes woof.
It's like he's teaching me Fisher Price fucking animal sounds.
The wheels on the bus go round and round. Didn't you learn anything as a kid?
Oh my God. I'm not a horse fan. What can I say? My grandpa loved horses. I didn't watch any horse races, but
I think even if you don't like horses, everybody knows the horse goes neigh.
Duff's with a $9.99. Uh-oh. I got solo a little with this on Monday. I bought a bunch of flowers, and I call them Annie. So I can say, Annie, are you bouquet? Annie, are you bouquet? Are you bouquet, Annie? That's a good one. I can see why that got Jason on Monday.
Got me again.
Sidro, the $5 super chat. What vegetable can work as a sport announcer? A commentator.
Ah, I see.
And Thanos went to his urologist. Doctor said, congratulations. Now you have the kidney stone. Oh, man.
Duff says, JD's never been to the farm, I see. No, apparently not.
I've never been to the farm. I've been to the zoo, but not to the farm, no. Base Beerus with it, too. Buy or sell, Red Hot Chili Peppers or the Foo Fighters? Ooh, that's an easy one. I'm going Chili Peppers on buy.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes, yeah, selling on the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Californication is a great song. That's a great album, by the way, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anthony Carroll, the 5. What do you call a man with no arms and legs on your front doorstep? Matt. I don't know why I found that one so funny. Matt. A man with no arms and legs on your front doorstep. Matt.
Oh, okay. It took me a little bit.
Oh my God, you guys are killing it with the jokes, man. We got a couple more. We'll get out of here. Base Beers with it too. How do you feel about an AEW brand split? I'd love it, but I mean, I think we already see a soft brand split on Collision because the people you see on Collision, we most of the time don't see on Dynamite. So,
well, whatever brand Athena's on, there's definitely a brand split there. They're pretty true to it, too.
Brent Demania with a 5. Wife's car got stolen while she was out the other day. I said, were you able to see what the guy looked like? She replied, no, but I got the license plate number. I don't get it.
Read that again. Read that one more time.
Wife's car got stolen while she was out the other day. I said, were you able to see what the guy looked like? She replied, no, but I got the license plate number. Oh. Wife's car got stolen while she was out the other day. But she got the license plate number? So I'm guessing she knew the license plate number before the car got stolen?
I don't know. I mean, is it the way it's written? I mean, just the way you're saying it. I think I'm missing the punchline here.
Me too. I don't know. Brent the Mini, you missed on that one, bro. It didn't hit the way that it intended to. I'd love a Brent split based. I don't know. I mean, I just want a good show on a consistent Wednesday. And Eminem, we'll end with this $10 Super Chat. Cashier says, welcome to Burger King. How can I take your order? Customer says, I want a Whopper with some fries. Cashier says, what's your drink? Customer says, I want sweet Timu.
Sweet Timu?
Sweet Timu, yeah.
Okay, so I don't get that one?
Not me either.
Okay, so I'm not the only one then.
Eminem, what happened there, bro?
Yeah, what happened? What happened, brother?
And Base Beerus, one with this $2 Super Chat. Chicken Jockey. He leaves a chicken emoji and a popcorn emoji.
Okay. Popcorn chicken? I like popcorn chicken.
Me too. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you on episode 94. Thank you guys very much. We had 1,000 likes as always. Thank you. Super chats were great tonight. Appreciate all the support here. Celebrating Jason's 1-year anniversary on the show. And as always, I'm going to leave it off to him to sound us off for another Tuesday.
Well, you know, if you want to feel really old, 23 years ago today, well, I guess yesterday, since it's after midnight now, but WWF got the F out and became WWE. And do you realize that they have now been WWE longer than they were WWF?
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. I mean, they were WWF before that, but as far as like just WWF, they have actually been WWE for longer now. Like I don't even want to think about that.
And I still prefer the F.
Yes, as do I.
Yeah.
I want to get the F back in.
Me too. Thank you guys very much for all your support. Appreciate you. We will be back with another episode on next Tuesday as Backlash is happening on Saturday. Obviously, like I said, we'll be covering the show on our respective channels, and then there'll be a lot to talk about next week. So thank you guys very much, and we will see you again next Tuesday right here for episode 95 as we are on our way to 100 right here on TNT. We'll see you guys later.